Okay, we are we're a little later than normal today. Just cuz, how my guests could schedule and things like that. But hi. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Milk Shark? Nice to see you. We got the guest of honor coming in. Just give me one moment. Let me bring him on. Hello, you're live, by the way. So just FYI. Don't say, oh, there he goes. Don't say any slurs or anything. Okay. But yeah, you are here.
Yo.
Yo. Your camera.
What up, Wick? Yeah, I turned it on. I don't know why it's.
Do you have a virtual cam?
Oh, yeah. Let me start that.
Okay.
My bad.
That should be doing it. Okay, so while you're
I
fixing...
thought I had it rolling.
But... Okay, no, now we can see
there we
you.
go.
Now your visual as well as your audio is coming through. Let me introduce the show a little bit, have a little bit of a preamble for a couple things, and then we'll get started. And it is today, just for everyone's edification, today is KungFuJoe versus the world. He's going to give us some of his hotter takes, and you can come in and disagree with him about either one of the takes he mentioned, or if you've seen him on my show before, or you've seen him in my community, and you have a bone to pick with this guy, and you want to debate him on something, today's the day to do that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to provide a link to my Discord in the YouTube chat and in the Twitch chat. You're going to click that link. You're going to accept the rules by going to the rules page, clicking on my face emoji, and then you'll jump backstage. And when we're ready, we'll call you in. But give me a second to do that. Boom, boom, boom. Pin it. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Lion's Heart, nice to see you. Christopher Robin, let's go. Riddell, PPB, nice to see you as well. Owlishness, always a pleasure. Yeah, it's gonna be a great night. I threw a bit of a before we started this show, I was watching Live and Learn, okay? And this is a little bit of a side. I understand it has nothing to do with tonight, but I just wanted to take 2 minutes and talk about it, right? So I was watching Live and Learn on my friend Soy Pill's channel, and they were talking about Fetterman and Hassan. So I asked them which candidate would they vote for if they only had a choice between two in 2028, Fetterman or Hassan, and it was a great question to ask. It started a lot of discourse, and I'm excited about that. So maybe that'll be a conversation in the future. I think Pisco has a bit of a Fetterman derangement syndrome, for lack of a better term. And so we'll need to have a conversation about that at some point. But that aside, tonight we're talking to KungFuJoe. KungFuJoe, tell people who you are, what are some of your hotter takes, and yeah, give us a little bit of an introduction here. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Wick. Thanks for having me on. So my name is KungFuJoe. I'm kind of an OG from the fighting game community. I've been known as KungFuJoe for the better part of 26 years, I think. The nickname was given to me. That's kind of the rule of nicknames when I was growing up is you don't choose your own. They are given to you by your peers. They gave me that nickname because I used to kick a tree to harden my shins in the backyard. They thought that was a little nutty. And we used to watch this old movie called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. And there was a character named KungFuJoe there who, when he tried to take on the police, they just shot him. So my friends used to make fun of me that, Joe, all that kung fu is not gonna do no good against a gun. So that's kind of like how I got that name, and it became my FGC name. And I just found no reason to really change it, so that's who I am. I kind of transitioned a little bit into debating politics with a person named Fanatic, who was also in the same fighting game group as me. So I began debating with him during the COVID years, and just kind of been off and on doing it ever since. I got into multiple different bit of communities, including Wix, and that's kind of where I get a lot of pushback. Is his community, they really don't like Andrew Wilson, and when they hear me talk, they kind of get the Andrew Wilson like derangement syndrome starts to go off because yeah, we believe a lot of the same things. The reason why people like Andrew Wilson are popular is because guys like me existed before he even had an internet presence. And then he showed up and started saying the things we agreed with, and voila, why you got guys like me around who, when they react to me, they think I'm pretty bad. Like, I'm a pretty bad guy, maybe worse than Andrew Wilson, because they seem to react to me like I'm worse. They seem to say everything I say is crazy and immoral and this and that. And it's just such an outrage. So I want to know why, Wick. Why am I such a bad guy? Why are the things I think so crazy?
Well, I
Right? Why
can't
are they
speak
so
to your
illogical?
I can't speak to your morality. I don't know you like that. I
Yeah,
do disagree with most of your takes, but I mean,
as
I'm
I
not here to fight you
predicted.
tonight. At least we can
Sure.
fight another day. But what I wanted to do is because I saw it all the time, like almost every other day. KungFuJoe will be in my VC in my Discord, just fighting people, right? Fighting, arguing, all these things. And I figured, why not? You know what? If people have issues with what he has to say, why not have a more kind of structured debate, or at least
Hmm.
a platform where he can come on, and if people really do have issues with him, they can call in, which you should do. Just jump backstage, and then we'll pull you in, and then you can challenge him on whatever you wish to challenge him on.
Yeah.
$5 from Audacity. You can also just super chat me, and I'll ask him questions. That'll be cool too. Joe looks like Meltman from Nickelodeon's Action League Now. How do you respond?
Never seen it. No comment.
I, I'm not quite sure either. I don't watch Nickelodeon, and haven't for a while. But we got some people backstage, and rather than yap yap yap, we'll bring them on one or two at a time. There's a couple people who asked me to come on at the same time, right? But I'll try to get the order you guys jumped in at. If I'm not perfect at it, please don't yell at me. But we're just gonna start. We'll start with the top. Hello, you're live.
Hello, KungFuJoe. How are you doing tonight?
How are you, sir? I recognize the voice.
Yes. I sent you some videos from the Amoeba Sisters, like some basic concepts in evolutionary biology.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, which of his takes do you want to challenge KungFuJoe on?
We could talk about evolution
Okay.
and feminism maybe if we have time, but I know there's someone else in
Yeah,
the audience.
well, pick one. Which one would you rather?
Let's do evolution.
Okay, what is your issue with KungFuJoe's take on evolution? Give it to us.
The entire field of evolutionary biology exists and has discovered many things related to genetics. So I don't understand why
hold
you'd
on.
say
Do you
that.
disagree with that?
Yeah, I
statement?
disagree. I disagree with KungFuJoe saying that evolution isn't science,
Okay,
considering there's an entire
enough.
field called evolutionary biology.
then we'll do this. Then we'll do this. KungFuJoe, give us your take on evolution. Keep it brief, and then we'll get into the back and forth. Go ahead.
Sure. So, to put it as briefly as I can, there are really there's really two separate things we're talking about when we talk about evolution. Um, so there is microevolution and then macroevolution, right? So for sake of simplicity, I will say that what we call microevolution is something that the Christian worldview already agrees with. It already agrees that we could have kinds and then they can make, different, like a cat can make different versions of a cat, but it could never make something that's not a cat, right? That's macro. Macroevolution is the claim that we have common ancestry, that we all descend from some kind of common ancestor, and that you have an ancient uncle for a banana, like a banana uncle, ancient banana uncle, fish aunt, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Go ahead, Captain Perrywelk.
So what would you consider to be like a kind? You said like cat, so I assume like feline, uh, canine, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like an animal that consistently, like when they mate with each other, they keep making that animal over and over again.
Okay, so pretty much just like everything on Earth does. That's what a nested hierarchy is. Do you know what a nested hierarchy is? I think the Amoeba Sisters talked about it in like one of the videos I sent you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you watch the first video or only the second?
Well,
I watched the second one,
how
kind
about
of,
you? How
but
about
I
this?
mean,
Just if I may just interject, since no one else has watched these videos, instead of simply referring to these
yeah.
videos, just tell us what the video said, and then we can.
Yes.
Go from
So
there.
a nested hierarchy is kind of like a Russian nesting doll. That's like a it's kind of difficult to explain it without like infographics, but basically it's kind of what KungFuJoe said, where so you have a clade. So let's take the clade canine or yeah, canidids. Uh and everything that is a canine will always produce a canine because you can't evolve out of a clade. So you can go 100 million years in the future, look at the descendants of canines. They could be like, I don't know, like 100-meter long seal looking things. That's just a little funny speculative evolution thing. However, they will still be canines because that's how a cladogram works. Everyone who's watching can look up a cladogram, and that's like the visual for it.
Okay. What is your challenge to his point though? In this?
What is a kind? Because you say micro. I mean, I would say that we find instances where we. Wait, hold on. Let me get my words.
Take your time.
Um,
I mean, I think KungFuJoe's kind of misunderstanding evolution,
Sure,
if that's the case.
he claims that macroevolution doesn't exist. Why is he wrong?
Yeah. Why is he? Because we have observed in the fossil record instances of common ancestry between different clades, like whales. So we have the toothed whales, and we have the baleen whales, and we observe that there is a common ancestor between the two that I believe it had like teeth.
Oh, hold on, wait.
And also,
How do I have a question there? How do fossils prove that? If
I was
all we have, like, hold on, like, so in my belief, like, you have to be able to counter the thing I believe as a Christian, right? So I believe as a Christian that the reason why we have common building blocks amongst living things is because that was just the best material God, chose to, make common within all living things, right? It's just a building block that works. It's like taking a Lego set, right? Like, you got different Lego sets, you put the Legos together and they're different things, but they're all Legos, right? So it's like, I believe in that. I don't like common shared DNA. That's not something that convinces me that a land-like wolf animal called the Pakicetus became a whale. You need to introduce you need to prove how, to me, that mechanically happened.
you made a couple of things in that point. You made a couple of points. First, I could talk going back to the whole common designer thing. I think that's a really interesting point. I'm going to tackle that. All life on Earth seems to be made out of the same molecules, and that is what we would expect if we all had a common ancestor. We know this because we do genetic tests in humans. I am more closely related to my brother than I am to my cousin.
Hold on, really quick.
Because I'm not done with my point. So we observe this in humans. We can look at human populations. We can look at entire genealogies of people and see this and back that up with historical records and archaeology in general. We can do this in other animals, like the animals we domesticated. Look at the known genealogies and then see that the genes are consistent with that. So why doesn't it work when we look at larger clades? What's the block?
I'm looking for, like, I just said, like, having us all made, if everything's made of Legos, then just showing that, hey, look, this thing over here is made of Legos, therefore we're made of Legos, is not enough to say that, like, oh, this X-Wing Lego set turned into a whale Lego set, or this Pakicetus Lego set turned into a whale Lego set, right? To be more accurate. Like, you need to show me mechanistically how that happened, right? That's science. Yeah. So my question to you is, how would you falsify? Hold on. How would you falsify macroevolution?
You could probably look at genes if they're like completely different in every way. If you could not create those where
would you get those genes from?
Well, let him answer the question.
PCR.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about the mechanism in one of the previous thing that you talked about was what the mechanism, and I'd say the difference between a Lego set and living organisms is that living organisms reproduce and pass on their genes. We know this because we can do genetic tests. That is the mechanism, and macroevolution is simply that mechanism. In genes being inherited, mutations, and natural selection happening on a really large scale.
To his question, though, and hold on, to his question, though, and I'll let you answer it, but then we do got a line coming, and we do got to move on. How would you falsify that?
I would falsify it by saying, okay, we can do this on we can do this on a micro level, like within the human species. Do we encounter any roadblocks when we try to do it on a larger level? So I gave the example of other organisms having completely different genomes. I would also give the example of a lack of fossils. So specifically whales, we have whale fossils. We have a lot of them, and if we just never found those, then that's a good way to falsify it.
So, did you hear that, Wick? Did you catch all that?
Give us
So
your take and
that is, he used a bunch of unfalsifiable claims as what would falsify macroevolution.
Okay, I'm going to give you last word, Captain Periwinkle. Then we do have to move on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that we did claims were made about evolution, and we tested those claims. That was one of the things.
And how, I'm asking, how do you
Hold on,
falsify
let him,
those claims?
Hold on.
answered
Let him have
that.
the last word, and then yeah. Go ahead. Periwinkle.
Basically, what I said before, with predictions were made, we tested those predictions, and if you want to contest the phylogenetic trees that we've created, you can look at genes and you look at fossils, and if we never found any of those, that would show, oh well, this theory is kind of dumb, but we did find those. We've made those predictions. We've predicted. Oh, actually, I want to give a really good example is with Tiktaalik. We had a hypothesis that, okay, in these layers of rock, we are going to find organisms that kind of look like fish, kind of look like amphibians, something in between. And we went digging there, and if we just never found anything like that, that would have falsified evolution. But we did find stuff like that. So that's pretty good evidence.
You could just put bones together. Okay, congratulations.
We look at things that lived in the past.
Built your own Pokemon.
We looked at things that lived in the past.
Like a dinosaur?
Depends on the
Do you believe
species.
dinosaurs existed?
I mean, I hope so, considering my friend has like, pet ones.
All right. Wick, can you pull up what I just sent you?
Let me see.
I just sent you a DM.
Oh.
I mean, are you literally saying that the dinosaurs didn't exist? That's kind of crazy.
Hold on. I want you to look at this and chew on it. You think about it before bed tonight, okay?
Still loaded. Someone's lying. Is this just a dumb meme? What does it have to do?
No. Look, do you see that? They can't actually mate.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah, look,
you drew
they
a little
can't
cartoon.
do it. Look at it. Look.
You could literally apply that to fucking elephants. Literally fucking elephants.
Wait, hold on. The elephants don't get a gigantic fucking tail like that. Oh, bro, cooked.
Okay,
this shit's so different.
I am going to send you so many things.
Yeah, huh?
Periwick.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
That's right.
Okay.
You like that, Wick?
Give me 1 second.
You having fun yet? That's what I want to. Wick, we just started. You having fun yet?
It's so far so good. Let's see.
I see you smiling. Okay. Yeah.
Schwengo. Oh, let's see if he's actually here. Give him a minute. Schwengo, you gotta undeafen, buddy. You're not ready. What's going on, man? You gotta unmute.
The fear is setting in.
Unmute, sir. Ugh.
Oh, damn. There we go. Sorry.
Okay,
there we
great.
go.
I was about to kick you. What do you got for us? What is the main take that you want to challenge KungFuJoe on? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, be perfectly honest, I didn't know who you were. So when I saw it was, KungFuJoe, versus the world, I thought, well, okay, maybe he's got a little few. I try to be as reasonable and accepting as possible. But then I heard when you said by your own words, oh, I was just saying all the things Andrew Wilson was saying before Andrew Wilson said them. So I went, oh,
agreeing with. Yeah, I
Right.
already
Well,
kind of had
okay.
similar views.
Having
Yeah.
the same viewpoint, having the same feelings, whatever. It says, oh, so you were patient zero for the walking ball of sentient cancer. Got it. So
You
once
mean
I
I
realized
was the
that, I
sentient
had to hop
cancer
in
Okay,
real
before
okay,
I
and
quick.
got
enough,
famous,
enough,
I
right?
enough
just had to hop in
posturing.
real quick.
What is your major what issue? Pick one, right?
Well, okay,
That you
so
have.
here's the real one. What if you share a lot of Andrew Wilson's views or agree with or whatever, describe the dynamic between men and women in your worldview.
It's the Christian worldview.
So you don't have your own worldview. You wait for someone else to tell you what it is. That doesn't tell me
No,
anything. What is your worldview?
I'm a Christian. So Christians believe that men and women have separate duties. They have duties to society, duties to each other.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how does that apply in this day and age? Is it the same?
Yeah. What would you say? Do you say men have any duties to society?
To society? Probably not.
Yeah. No, really?
No, no.
How
Duty,
about like
duty.
making laws? What about rights? Do you believe in rights?
Of course not. What do you mean?
You don't believe in rights? What are you? Like an anarchist?
No, I just know that the fundamental ground level truth of what we understand, colloquially, we as a planet, there is no reason why your protons and neutrons assembled the way they did. You believe that because Sky Daddy wanted it
Okay,
to,
just to be clear, he asked
right?
you about
What is
rights, as
going on
in the right
here?
to free
I'm
speech,
getting
the
there.
right to.
I'm getting there. Do
Okay,
we
you're
need to
getting
bring
there.
this
Go
down to
ahead.
fifth grade level, or what? Or can we actually get in a
Hold
little
on.
a little bit of
Are you insulting Wick? Because now you're insulting
abstraction
Wick. You're
here?
not insulting me.
No,
Okay,
just continue.
rights are purely a construct of people that have evolved past Maslow's hierarchy of needs that they can be concerned about such things.
So what? Like, I don't get it. What do you have? What issue do
We
you
have an
have with
agreement.
me?
We have it. We have well.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing, right? To me, these things are
Okay.
in flux. They're not set in stone like you believe they are. They're in flux. Do you understand?
What's in flux?
The
What is in
roles
flux?
between men and women.
Really? So,
Yes.
is there any a time where it's going to be women's duty to like defend the country, uphold the law, like because men are superior in using violence, right, and utilizing violence to get what they
Sure.
want.
Right. Sure.
So, when will how is that in flux? When is that ever going to change?
Well, that's physiology and temperament. That is not roles. You understand the difference,
Isn't
right?
that the biology that you believe in? Like, even if you believe in evolution, don't you believe that men evolved to have this role, right? If you got to fight and survive in nature, then
Uh huh.
one of them, obviously, if you look at a man, the average man and the average woman, one is better at doing that, right? And that's always going to be the same. That's a biological reality.
At pulling a trigger, because that's what was relevant
Pulling a
today.
trigger? Who do you think is better at pulling triggers, sir?
Well,
Who's better?
I would love for you to show me concrete evidence other than God said so that men are inherently better marksmen than women. Can you show me that?
Okay, we've got a veteran in the room with us. I think he knows that they've run studies on mixed tank crews, straight men, just men tank crews, male and female. They've run these tests already, and the crew made of pure men is always comes out on top. They are more efficient. They can carry the things fast. They can carry everything faster. They are better marksmen on average. They can carry the rifle. They could carry each other when they get wounded. They're just a better, more cohesive unit. I would never want to be an all female army or a tank crew versus an all male tank crew. It doesn't matter. The technology doesn't level shit on this playing field.
Wick, are you prepared to sign on to that women are genetically inferior to
No.
pull triggers?
I think that we have several examples in the past. I'm not here to debate though, but I think we have several examples in the past of mixed units, mixed armies beating all-men armies. The closest one I can think of off the top of my head is Vietnam. The Viet Cong had millions of women in its ranks. They won against the all-male military of America. They just beat us.
Oopsie.
Well, hold on, because all things being equal, right? Now, what's unequal in that example was the Americans didn't listen to the art of war, right? And the Vietnamese did. What's funny about that is when we fought for our independence, we were good students of the art of war. Sun Tzu would have tipped his hat to us the way we fought that war. You know why? Because we fought exactly the way the Viet Cong did against us. We used home field advantage. They used tunnel systems. They used hookers to collect information, right?
So it's almost like the gender of the warfighter.
Listen, I'm trying to land my plane. Let me at least land the plane on the beach somewhere, right? So like, what I'm telling you,
there's no runway for you.
What I'm telling you is, if you outfit 2 units, right, all things being equal, same equipment, everything, and then you pit them against each other, men and women, everything being equal, you pit them on the single battlefield, right? Like 9 times out of 10, at least, the men are going to come out on top.
I think you're totally.
Yeah, I know you think that you have an argument, though?
I think you're relying on caveman level intuitions.
Do you have an argument, sir?
Well, okay. What you're asking me is, can you disprove my thing that was just disproved?
My dude, do you think if you look, why are the majority of armed forces around the world majority men? Why? And no matter what nation you look at with a big army, why is it majority men?
And temperament.
Okay, and that's never going to change. That's always going to be a
biological effectiveness. Do you understand?
This is
the difference. This is why a 140-pound dude can choke out a 300-pound dude that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
It's still 2 dudes.
Okay, Ronda Rousey could beat the fucking shit out of 95% of men on the planet. Do you understand that?
An exception to the rule doesn't make the rule not true.
Well, okay, but that it doesn't make it absolute, like you're claiming it does.
No, dude. I accept that there can be exceptions, right? But you still never had a female like Navy SEAL yet.
Okay, well let's escape the obvious ones. How about law firms?
Who gives a fuck about? Why are we getting off of this and moving on to law firms now?
Between men and women. What like, are you not following?
No. You don't just get to jump off this because it's a sinking ship for you. You need to face the fact that you don't like it. You don't understand. You don't like it that all the fighting forces of every major army on Earth is majority men. It's like not even close.
It's not because they're men. It's because of temperament and disposition.
Yes, it is. That's because they're men. Their temperament and disposition is due to them being men.
Oh, except for those times it's not, right?
Like I said, the exceptions don't make the rule.
But
I get that there's tiny exceptions.
Well, let me just simply ask a question then. And this is to KungFuJoe.
If it was so absolute, exceptions wouldn't exist. Okay. They wouldn't matter.
I didn't say absolute. I said you're going to be on this.
Let me just ask a question, okay? KungFuJoe, you have 1,000 women, okay? They're all women. They're all decently in shape. We're assuming decent shape for all contenders. 1,000 men, 1,000 women, okay? They're all in decent shape. They're all healthy. They all have all their senses. None of them are paraplegics, all these things, right? You give the 1,000 women automatic rifles, and you give the 1,000 men spears. Who's winning?
I mean, I don't know. That's such like a huge. Are they on like a flat battlefield?
On one of these groups to win. The group.
What's the battlefield look
with
like?
Automatic rifles, or the group of men with spears?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. What does the battlefield look like?
Any
Is it a
battlefield.
forest?
What
Is it a
what
desert? No,
battlefields do you
it's going to
think
make
would
a
favor the
difference.
spears?
I think maybe a forest where they could
Sure,
make
they're all in a forest.
camouflage and traps and yeah.
Yep, all the guys with the spears have. Let's even give the men a month to set the terrain. Okay.
Yeah. I would set the terrain. I would make us as camouflaged and as hidden as possible. I would spread us out and hide us evenly behind a bunch of traps. I would we would make a map or a grid of where we knew the traps all were, and we would just probably make some bows and arrows and stuff like that, and we would just
No, you have
hide.
spears. You have spears specifically, right?
Well, if I have a spear and I'm in the
You can make
forest, why
traps
can't I
and
make
stuff
anything
with,
else?
With basic stuff, right? That's fine, but you can't make
Yeah.
claymores and things. I'm not giving you that.
Yeah.
But you
I don't
can.
know. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been instances of people with just spears giving people with rifles a lot of hell, right? And I think if you give me the right environment and the right amount of preparation, who knows? I mean, we might just if we just capture a few women,
Sure,
we
you
take
have to
guns,
be on
we
one
start
of these
taking the
teams.
guns.
You have to be on one of these teams. You
Yeah.
get to be on the team of men with just spears who are in the forest, or you get
Men
to be
with
the
spears.
team of women.
Men
who
with spears
have...
all day.
Okay, fair enough. That's
Yep.
your answer. What about you,
So-
Schwengo? Which team you picking?
Well, what I just heard is if I get tuberculosis, as long as I have the correct time to prep and plan and prepare, the right teas and the right berries and the right whatever, I'll probably pull through instead of an antibiotic. That's effectively what I heard. Meaning,
Okay, I'll just tell you what. I'll just tell
the
you what.
cope
Gang,
is on a
it's the
level.
easiest
It's like, of
question in the
course.
world. Automatic rifles are a force multiplier such that we have not seen. Yes, certainly under the right conditions, the right terrain, even someone with a spear might be a threat. But when we're talking numbers in the thousands, the women will win. They will just win every time. It won't be close.
100 out of 100 times. Well, Wick, that was the point of my analogy. That's like saying, okay, maybe 1 or 2 people might survive tuberculosis without antibiotics, but
Yeah, hold on. For a rifle to be
antibiotics are a
effective,
force
you need to be
multiplier
able
for
to see
healthcare,
what you're shooting at,
and
right?
you will live if you take them.
You have to be able to see what you're shooting at for a rifle to be effective.
Yes, but once you start
Right.
killing people in the forest, they will see you and they will shoot you.
No, the booby traps are going to start killing. I'm
Why
going to
would
hide
they? Why would they?
because I'm just going to hide my group behind the grid of booby traps.
I don't think you can make a set of booby traps without gunpowder as capable. Even with gunpowder, I don't think you.
No, you
do
can make
any
all
sort
kinds of booby traps,
defensive
Wick.
perimeter that would kill 1,000 women. Just
Wick, you'd have time to use your
just
hands and
wouldn't-
dig
that
punji
would-
pits and like then
you
cover
put
them
up
with leaves.
in
And
Vietnam,
live in
they
this
killed
total
a ton
Rambo
of soldiers.
fantasy.
They killed a ton of soldiers in Vietnam with booby traps.
Yeah, but most of them died doing that.
The Viet
reason
Cong
the
died.
Vietnam won was because they were willing to suffer horrendous losses.
And they didn't
had
care.
No.
more
Building a booby
people.
trap isn't what suffered the losses. They suffered the losses
the
through.
booby traps killed some of our men, but
They did, yeah.
we killed much more of theirs.
I'm telling you what my strategy would be, Wick.
I'm just
My
saying
strategy
it wouldn't matter at the end of the day.
I get no. You think that, but I'm telling you that you have a rifle is not effective unless you could see what you're shooting at. And if I'm
Hold on, do
hidden
you know
in
what recon by fire is?
like telling,
So,
is it
you know
telling
what
you where
tracers
you are?
for?
Yeah, it's to show you where you're
shooting, right?
Right.
So one of the things that they did when they knew the enemy was in the area, but they don't know exactly where, is that they
Yeah.
just spray.
Yeah.
And they will hit someone by accident.
They might.
Yes. And when you have 1,000 women doing this, and they have automatic rifles, and I'm assuming decent supply lines on both sides, right? They're just going to win. They don't have to be careful. They could just spray into you and kill you. One of the reasons in World War II, one of the reasons that Americans overperformed other countries is because what they would do is they would simply saturate an area with fire, with artillery fire. They weren't shy about it. They didn't like conserve ammo or anything. They didn't need to. They had great supply lines, great manufacturing base, so they didn't have to see the enemy. They just kind of knew the general area they were, and then they just lit that shit up, and that was it. Like they killed a bunch.
I'm already posing challenges to this hypothetical, even though it's a super big mismatch. But in reality, we don't have this mismatch. There's technology on both sides, and that makes it retarded for us to even consider
the
that
argument is,
we will swap.
The argument is that sufficient technology would make the differences between men and women null. Drones,
it hasn't done that yet.
Well,
it has in like 70% of all life. What do you mean? Women are out earning men. They're overeducated compared to men.
Okay, now you want to jump to something else again.
You have one more take, Schwengo, then we gotta cycle you.
Well, okay. My final take is that your meme about dinosaurs not being able to have sex. I mean, your mother did, so there's the evidence right there that it works.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so hurt, bro. That's all you got? Yeah.
Okay. See you later.
See you later, loser.
Yeah.
Okay.
You did
Bring
terrible.
on the next challenger. Hello, you're live.
Oh, my favorite. Hello, Owlish.
Hello, how are you? Let me get my camera on here.
Splendid.
Ooh, we get camera today. What's up? What do you got? Alish, what do you got for him? What take do you want to challenge?
Oh, do I have to challenge a specific take?
Whatever you disagree with me with.
What do you disagree
don't have
most with about KungFuJoe?
Well, see, word around the Discord is that you do not believe in marital consent, and I want to hear more about that.
I would say maybe you heard wrong, depending on what that means. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it came from your own mouth that you think that marriage is consent. Is that still your position, or do you want to take a different position on that?
I would say it is a form of consent, sure.
And why is that?
It's like a consent to sharing a life with each other with common goals. In our case, children, since we're Christians. Yeah.
Okay, not all men and women have to have not all Christians
I'm just telling you what our deal is, Alish.
Right, I understand that, but like in the sense of like, let's say like your wife is like, no, I'm sorry, I can't tonight. I'm tired.
Uh-huh.
And what would you do in that situation?
I mean, like, okay, you're tired.
So she's saying no, she's not giving you consent.
Yeah.
So what do you do, Joe?
Oh, sometimes I say, hey, well, I'm tired too, but I'm still here. And she'll be like, okay, fair point. And then that's the end of that conversation.
Okay, so so the answer is you do not believe in marital consent. You believe that if your wife says no, that you're able to have sex with her anyway.
Listen, I believe that whatever your arrangement is, whatever your marital or relationship arrangement is, that's for you to, and it's not for me, right, to judge. Like, I have no business poking my nose in there, so.
Well, what gives you that?
Yeah, why do you care about what I do in my bedroom, Alish?
Because this is a very concerning thing. This is something that's very, very concerning.
What I do in my bedroom is concerning?
Yes, because I mean, you care what other people do in their bedrooms. That's why you dislike gay people.
No, I don't. No, I don't care about that.
I thought you were Christian, right?
So
you don't care about gay people?
Well, let me just ask both of you a question. First of all, $5 from Gelatinous Rube to say the Silver Vixen. Thank you for the $5. Question for Joe. Would you outlaw gay marriage if you could?
It depends on what you mean gay marriage. Like, I don't believe gays can actually get married because I think that's a Christian sacrament.
So you would not, so just to be clear, you'd be okay with allowing gays to get civilly married. That'd be fine?
You mean like a civil union or something like that?
Yeah, civilly married. They can get married in the courthouse. They can get married in a church that wants to marry them. if it's, you know.
No, well, see, I wouldn't.
I guess my question is legislation. Would you pass legislation to ban a church who wants to marry 2 gay men from being able to do that?
Are you saying would I like make legislation or
Yes,
would I
pass a
vote on
law
something
saying
like that?
if you are a church and you want to marry 2 gay men, you cannot.
Mhm.
That is against the law. There will be penalties.
Well, I'll just simply tell you what I would do would be to remove all kind of incentives for what you would call gay marriage and just provide extra incentives for heterosexual Christian marriage, because one of our biggest issues as a country, and indeed the world, but as a country, it would do us a lot of good to take
Okay,
care
I
of our own
understand, but
problems, and one
what
of
do you
them
mean
is the
by
birth rate.
yeah, what do you
Yes.
mean by remove incentives? Like I thought my question was pretty simple. Would you pass
Yeah.
legislation making it illegal?
I would put it to a vote, sure.
Yeah, you would
You
try
would
to. How would you
overfill.
vote?
Yeah.
How would you vote? It's 50-50 in the Senate. You're the vice president for some reason. Tie-breaking vote's yours. Yay or nay on making this illegal?
I just vote against it because I don't think it's even a real thing. Yeah.
What do you mean a real thing? Like you don't think that?
It's not real. It's not it's
No,
not
so
a covenant with God, right?
okay, so I'm changing the scenario and I'm saying that it is legal. So like legally they cannot get married. Legally they
Okay,
cannot
well,
adopt.
legally, if we're just talking about legal and illegal, um why ought we not make it illegal?
I'm asking you.
There's no reason to. There's no
So
reason to
you
not make it illegal.
so you believe in gay marriage then?
What? I just said there's no reason to not make it illegal, right? Like
So you
I
want to make
believe
it illegal?
why shouldn't we?
I'm asking you. That this
I
question is
what?
going to
Hold
you.
on. What the hell? I
What do you
think we
Joe, this
should.
isn't
I think
difficult.
it would be a good thing. How about if I just say it's my preference, right? It's just my preference that we should get rid of it. Why
Why?
shouldn't I?
Why?
Huh? Because I just like it.
Okay, so it's just because of your feelings. It's not any
Yeah.
systematic reason. It's not any
No.
reason that makes any
No,
sense.
I just feel like it. Why am I wrong?
Because it doesn't make any sense. I just outlined it there
What?
for you. It doesn't make any sense systematically. It doesn't make any sense
It doesn't make
logically.
sense?
No,
Okay,
it does
so
not make
what do you
sense.
really? Why?
Why? Well, no, I'm putting the question back on you. Why is it a problem that a man and a man or a woman and a woman can't get married?
No, I'm
Why?
just saying, what if I just said it gives me the ick, right? And I don't want to see it. I don't want someone to be sued for not making a gay wedding cake, like what really happened in real life, right? That can't happen anymore. That's what I would advocate for.
But you can sue for
Stuff
whatever
like
you want.
that. No,
So
no,
you can
no.
sue for whatever you want, though. That's the
No.
thing. Like,
Okay, I would
you
make
can
it
still sue.
illegal to sue on those grounds. How about that?
That's not possible. You can sue for
No,
whatever
yes,
you
it
want.
is. Yes, it is.
It is not possible.
It
I
is
suppose.
possible.
You can make it illegal to sue for all hosts of reasons. Whether that's a good idea or not is a different question. Alish,
Yeah.
would you make it illegal for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that anybody who wants to get married should be allowed to get married, that they're the age that they can get married, which is 18 above only.
Okay.
So I would even change that, but state, national wide. But Joe, I don't see any reason why 2 men or 2 women should not be able to get married. I mean, making a cake is one thing. I understand that maybe like you can kind of forgo the laws of like I have the right to not serve people. But realistically, you can
Okay,
sue any.
how about this, Alish? How about I extend you an olive branch, right? Whatever, if they want to go have a gay wedding in their backyard or something, like, and nobody knows about it, then
That's
nothing's
no.
gonna happen. Hold on, then nothing's gonna happen. But there's not gonna be any kind of legal rights or incentives or anything like that anymore. There's no more
Why?
suing the bakery for not providing the gay wedding cake.
They can sue the bakery for something else.
Hold on,
then.
just real quick. Just a real quick.
That's
Just a real quick.
Yes.
Just a real quick question to Joe. So, say there were a gay couple who got married in this way. under your system. Okay, it's Joe's country, Joe's laws, Joe's culture, all that. Two gay men have gotten married in their backyard, like you said, you don't have a problem with. One gets in a serious accident, has to go to the hospital. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hospital doesn't allow non-familial visitors. If you're not part of their family, you can't visit them. Would you
Yes, I'm
allow
familiar with this.
the gay partner, the gay husband of the man to visit him? Would you make it illegal for a hospital to stop that man from visiting his husband?
I wouldn't see a problem with it.
Which way? Like, would you not see a problem with the hospital blocking him from visiting, or would you not see a problem with allowing them?
I wouldn't have a problem with the hospital blocking him from doing that, because it depends on if this opens up like a slippery slope situation where we get to the gay couple suing the bakery for not providing the gay wedding cake.
Okay, so just to be clear, under your system, in your ideal world, two people who are gay who have gotten married in their backyard or whatever, they wouldn't be able to see their spouse if they got in a serious accident.
There's no spouse, right? Because if there's no there's no legal recognition of spouse here.
So does your rule extend to if the Christian couple is asking for a cake and the gay bakery doesn't make it for them?
I mean, the gay bakery doesn't make it for them. I mean, they shouldn't be able to sue for that. Yeah, they should just go somewhere else.
Okay, so we're okay. So
last question, Alice, and we do have to cycle. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Last question. Last point or whatever.
Okay, I guess the last point that I would make would basically be like, what legality do you see behind this? Is this a religious thing? Because you understand we don't live in a theocracy, right?
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't care. Okay, so you're essentially just saying I don't care.
Towards theocracy. I would prefer theocracy, to be quite frank, and that's what I'm promoting. I think it leads to way better outcomes for society, for humanity in general, than this status quo.
So do you understand that there are other countries that also live in theocracies that we vehemently dislike?
Not mine.
Like
none
Iran?
of them live in my preferred theocracy.
They don't, but we know what happens under theocracies, right?
No, that's not that's not the same thing, Alish. That's
okay. Last thing, then we do have to cycle out. Go ahead.
Nope, we're good. You can just live in
yeah. I'm not Islam.
All right,
I'm not Islamic.
No, I know, but apparently you don't think your wife deserves consent, so that's terrible.
She gave me consent at the altar, baby. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. Just hold on this. So Joe, okay, you come across your wife. She's passed out.
No, what happens in my bedroom is nobody else's business.
Okay, well, it's in your living room then.
Would you see
it's in your living room.
Well, how about this? There's a couple who's married.
We'll never know.
Okay? Couple who's married. It's not used. Let's not use your couple. Okay, let's not use your marriage. There's a couple who's been married. They're Christian, right? They have the same worldview as you. They're in a terrible car accident. Okay, and the woman is bleeding, broken. She's still alive, but she's not quite dead yet, right? She's still alive. She's unconscious. The man, he's hurt, and he like helps, not gonna get there in time, and he's like, you know what? This is gonna be my last chance to have this with my wife, and so he fucks her, right, while she's dying. Has he done anything wrong?
Yeah, I would say that's kind of wrong.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, she gave consent, right? Because they're married.
I mean, well, I don't know. It's not what I say when I mean wrong. I mean, it's like not something I would consider in that moment.
Yeah, but I mean, why is it wrong under your worldview? Because you believe that they are married.
No, just personally. It's just personally wrong. It's just on a personal level.
You don't believe it's morally wrong.
So there's nothing morally wrong has happened. Just curious.
Hold on. Say it
Yeah,
again. As
okay.
okay. So
Car
she
accident,
dying,
woman
right? And
dying.
she's
Okay, helps too
yeah.
far
mhm.
away. He thinks that this is gonna be my last time with my wife. She's unconscious. She's bleeding out. She's close to death. She has
Yeah.
no way to consent, like verbally or
She
anyway,
has no
right?
to consent.
Um,
Okay.
They're married though, under your worldview, so she already consented. And he fucks
Yeah.
her. He just like
Yeah.
just fucks her.
Yeah.
Has he done
No,
anything wrong?
that's wrong. No, that's wrong because she didn't even get a chance to reply or do anything, right?
But they already consented. They're married.
What you should do in that situation, you don't actually have absolute knowledge that how much time she has, so you should be trying to get her help.
Well, this is beside, she's going to live.
What the
Maybe.
fuck? You know she's gonna live?
No,
Maybe.
don't add things.
Wow.
We don't know if she's
do it.
gonna live or not, right? I'm just wondering. Again,
Okay, so you
if
should be getting
feel,
her help,
hold
dude.
on, if you
What the
feel
fuck?
that marriage is consenting, and there are no circumstances in which that consent, like she's
That's
already
a
given her
joke.
prior
Hold
consent
on.
to this,
Oh, wait,
right?
hold on. That's a joke I'm telling Owlish, but the reason why I get to make that joke is because you can't then ask me like what I do in my bedroom, right?
This isn't a
But
joke
this
show
isn't
because
asking. I'm taking you out of the. I'm taking
This
the personal
hypothetical. Okay,
issue
you
out of
just
your
want me
situation.
to yeah.
I'm looking for why you think it's wrong
Yeah.
that
I think that's
this
wrong,
man
yeah.
has had sex with his wife, who again they consented, right? She's already it's like, if I'm passed out, if I'm drunk, you can have your way with me. She's already verbally consented to that, right? But this situation is
Yeah.
she's been in a horrible car accident. She's dying. He wants one last ride. Okay. Why has he done something wrong?
Yeah, I think my answer is the same. I think in that instance, his brain should be, he should be trying to get her help. Yeah.
He has. He's done all he can. Everything he can do.
No,
he
get her
has
to a
done.
hospital. Get her to a hospital.
He can't. His legs are broken.
He can't.
All he
His
can do
legs
is
then you can't
on a
do much
rider.
action if you got broken legs.
Hold on, yeah, you
Wick.
can.
He can't.
Hold on, yeah, you can.
the car is crashed.
Yeah, they're out in the middle of the road where he's done all he can. Why is it wrong?
Takes two to tango.
Why is
It's
it wrong?
very hard.
Except
It takes two to tango, Wick.
Except for if your wife is
asking,
tired.
like, under your worldview, it doesn't seem like he would have been doing anything wrong.
I mean, it's obviously like it's wrong that he's not getting her to the hospital.
I mean,
That's
again,
what I think is wrong.
There's
Yeah, it's like
even if he wasn't fucking her, there'd be no way.
cell phone. Do we not have cell phones all of a sudden?
It was in a car accident. Do you think your cell phone survives a car accident? Not always.
Sure. Yeah, cell phones do.
It doesn't.
They
in this
both
case.
have a cell
they don't
phone.
Have
One of them.
They wanted to go phone free for whatever reason. They were silly, but they don't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
They're on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere.
In that instance, Wick, I would just leave that up to God, honestly. It wouldn't be like, what can I do? What can I do to pass judgment on this guy?
So
if that's what he thought, it's like
all good.
No, not all good. It's like fucked up. It seems fucked up to me, but then again, it's not my marriage.
The whole point is that there are circumstances, even in a marriage, right, where there is consent given, that it would be fucked up to have sex with someone who you're married to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes,
that
is one of those situations.
Dying, like when
there
they're dying.
There are other situations where I would also think it's pretty fucked up for you to fuck your wife or fuck your husband when they're in that condition. Okay? You've already agreed that there's one condition that it would be fucked up in. I guess most people would see other conditions that'd be like, this is probably not wise to do, and it's probably morally wrong.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I agree that you should get consent from your wife, Wick.
So this is you saying that.
Here's the thing. Here's where there becomes a problem, though. If there's an extended period of time where she's not consistently not giving consent, then it's going to become a problem if you're in a Christian marriage, because she as a woman isn't upholding her duty, right? So if she's not upholding her duty in the marriage, now it's a problem, and you need to go see your priest together and talk about where to go from there. Do you heal the problem, or do you go your separate ways, and at which the church does allow exceptions for a marriage to split up, right? That's the path I would say you take in those situations, if I'm being serious.
Okay.
All right, so he believes in divorce for if
It's
your
called
wife
marital
Go through
debt.
the
Is a
church.
concept. It's a concept called marital
It's
debt.
not
That when you're,
exactly. That's
Mhm.
more of a Protestant like concept.
I mean,
what I'm
it
just
exists.
it's not
It's
particularly
just as you just subscribe there. Like if one
just duties.
if one of the spouses is not giving it up, then divorce becomes an option in that case in a Christian context.
It should, right? Because it's
Yeah, but
it's
that's
like she's
called
going
marital
against
debt.
the
That's
faith,
what it is,
right?
Right.
Well, I don't know if I don't. Some say that that's fine. I don't call it that. I just call it marital duty, right? If you're shirking on your marital duty,
Sure, rose by any
what are
other
you
name,
doing?
though.
You're not upholding your part of the sacrament.
Okay, Alish, thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, so for this next one, so first of all, gang, just a little bit of intermission here. If you've enjoyed this content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Okay, we do these kind of talks all the time. If you want to challenge Joe on any of his takes, the Discord link is pinned in the YouTube. You click that link, you accept the rules by clicking on my little face emoji. You can see it under the rules page. You just click that, and you'll be able to see all the channels. You jump backstage, and we'll pull you in when it's your turn, and you'll have a chance to go, okay? And you can challenge him on anything that he believes. Anything is on the table. For this next one, these two individuals have asked to come on at the same time. I see no issue with that.
Wow.
And we'll bring them on, and we'll see what they have to say.
A fusion attack, huh?
Hello,
boy.
you're both live.
How are you doing, my
Hello.
goat?
Yes. Hello.
Okay,
Hello,
who wants to start?
I guess I can start.
Storm, yeah.
Yeah. Joe, in prior questions, I feel like we've noticed that there's been a particular obstacle when discussing evolution with you. Primarily, it seems like the notion of an iterative process that provides for like morphologically distinct organisms over a large time period is something that you find kind of absurd, and we want to try and bridge that gap with like an analogy. So we're gonna. I guess the first question I would ask is like, would you agree that like language, for instance, diversifies over time?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think that like two people who speak fundamentally different languages can understand each other? Like, do you think someone who's speaking Portuguese could understand someone who speaks Latin?
What?
Or French. Portuguese and French to make it a little more tangible.
Maybe there's some like layovers there, or like Spanish to Portuguese or something like that. Yeah, sure.
Like
Well,
you'd
like-
say that there are certain words that they might understand, individual words, but in terms of actual sentences, they'd be lost.
Probably, yeah. I would agree. That's how language works. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we agree with that.
Yeah. I guess walking down that further train, like Portuguese and French, both of these are languages that came from Latin, right? And so, like, do we agree with that process as well?
Sure.
Okay. So I guess and that's where I'm going to get a little bit declarative, and you can tell me if you follow this. The change of the way Latin came about is relevant for how language kind of like changes over time, right? And Latin to Portuguese is what I'm getting at, or any kind of language, right? That over a small time period of human beings working with these languages, and as they spread, right, in the Roman Empire, they spread Latin throughout multiple like different countries, right, and regions, and then the Roman Empire falls. What happens is then these regions become isolated, and there's no need for like this kind of common language, right? So then what happens is there starts to be slowly but surely changes made to pronunciation, dialect, grammar, words, all these other kinds of things, spelling even, and slowly but surely over time that these changes get more and more prevalent, right? And this is how you go from like words so like the original, so like a great example is like numbers, for instance, where like Latin it was like unos, duo, tria, French it's un, du, tra, and Spanish it's uno, dos, tres, right? And they're still kind of the same, but you see they're slowly but surely becoming fundamentally different. And then when you extrapolate that to more complicated words and sentences, they become holistically unrecognizable, right?
Damn. I'm just impressed. Yeah.
So what's happening here, right, is you have a bunch of small, minor changes, right, in like the original language, correct?
Okay.
And then slowly but surely, over time and isolation, they become different. And eventually, those differences become so extreme that while there might be similarities we can point to, they become holistically isolated, and they are now fundamentally different languages.
But like we could say that the kind Latin it evolved into the kinds Spanish, Portuguese, French, and one other.
Yeah.
Does that seem to check for you, or is there a hiccup that you spot?
I agree that this is how languages work. Yeah.
So if we were to take that process, it sounds like we have microevolution in language, but it seemingly turns into a macro level of evolution in language over time and isolation, correct?
I don't know if I would agree with those terms because language is not like a scientific process.
Well, we're
Sure,
not.
but
Well, we're talking about the concept of an iterative mechanism providing for massive change over time. So it's more so the idea that you can change a word a little bit, and then like one individual changes one word in a sort of way, and maybe their friend group picks it up, and then it
I'm
spreads. Like we
sorry.
might see
Can
the
I,
word writ. Yep.
you guys, I don't want you guys to waste any time. What is this drawing an analogy to? And
So
how
so
is
I,
it, hold on, and how is it analogous given that language is something that is constructed amongst humans using metaphysical concepts and
yeah.
logic, and it is just kind of like an interpersonal and somewhat arbitrary exercise that we do, and that we come to agreements with each other to establish the rules of a given language, right? So what we're talking about here in evolution moves over to science. So what I have a problem with in evolution is the claim that it is science when it doesn't meet the bar for science.
well, when
What
we
we're
say
getting at is that, yeah.
when we say science, we're speaking to a study of something, correct? So, like the science of biology is the study of an organism. The science of linguistics is the study of language, right?
Specifically, what I'm saying here is that
Wait. Is that correct,
hold
or
on.
am I incorrect?
What you're misunderstanding here is that a scientific theory comes at the end of the scientific method, and the theory of specifically macroevolution doesn't pass through the scientific method.
I mean, if you want
So
to
what
talk
we're trying
about
to get
a
at here,
separate topic with someone else, you're welcome to, but we're talking about language and an iterative mechanism. So we're focusing in the concept of an
So you want
iterative mechanism
talk to
providing.
me about language instead?
well, so no,
No,
I
no,
guess
no.
I'll
You
clarify.
gotta
So,
you.
Patrick,
Hold
can I
on,
clarify a
one
little
at a
bit?
time.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Stormwolf.
So what I'm getting at is that like you asked like how is this analogous to evolution? I'll grant you that like yes, there is some level of human interface, but our point is the process is almost perfectly analogous when we draw each part of the analogy. So let me explain, right? You can start with the idea of like within evolution, you have like you have like an original ancestor, right? Usually, right? That would be your original language in this analogy. Then
Latin.
That's the
you move into
claim, yeah.
yeah. I'm
Well, no,
saying
no,
like
no.
I'm
This
just
is
how
drawing parallels.
yeah, we're drawing
I
parallels to
get
how
it.
this works, right? Because remember, you've said multiple times you believe in microevolution. So we're going to explain how microevolution can, through this analogy, can lead into macroevolution, right? So what we're going to say is that like, okay, we have like this original language, and then from there we have like mutations that are kind of random. And you even said this when you talked about language being a bit arbitrary, right? There isn't necessarily like a rhythm to it. These just kind of come through like whatever, right? So far, does that follow?
What we agree on the rules of a language. So a language is built up
Well,
to a
wait, so now
point
you're
to
getting to like
where
a mechanistic thing of
Whoa.
like, oh, look, now you're getting to like a mechanistic thing of like, okay, this is how language operates. We agree that like language is created and had to be agreed upon. We agree that it's not the exact same as evolution, as like a science, but we're saying that like the general process of like changes being made at a small level through isolation and mutations that are seemingly random can then turn into a more broader difference through that isolation, where eventually through time and these differences being heightened due to environmental shifts, there is an increase of isolation to the point where they become wholly distinct, right? And this process I just explained, it was very vague for a reason. I didn't get into specificities because it can account for both having an original ancestor goes through random mutations and small adaptations that over time become heightened enough to be like holistically distinct. It can also apply to language.
do you think I don't understand what the claim of macroevolution is?
We do, but we're trying to show you how, like, if you accept microevolution, you inherently accept macroevolution because through
Here,
this
no.
isolatory
Let me
process.
help. Let me help.
Can I give you an
Macro.
argument as to why that doesn't work? Here, let me help you. So this argument there's like two fallacies embedded in it. I think it's more so a composition fallacy to say that because we look at these flies, right, and we observed a change within the flies, the fruit flies, right, therefore flies used to not be flies.
We didn't say that.
Right? That is the argument. If I break the argument down,
we didn't argue that.
That is the argument. It's
we're just talking about how if you grant
hold
microevolution, you
Yes,
should
I know.
how macroevolution comes across. That
Yeah,
through
did
this
you
analogy,
hear what
you
I
should really
just said?
see.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're saying that you've accepted. Yeah.
Pause. So macroevolution, as it's understood in biology, it's a concept. It's if you take microevolution and you apply it over a large time span, you will see large morphological differences between organisms. So that mechanism of iterative DNA recombination, mating, mutation, mating, and then splitting up, isolation of those organisms provides for the macroevolution. So let me just draw the parallels for you.
No. I'm asking for the proof. Where's the proof?
Good. Let me draw the parallels for you. So mutation would be like an individual deciding to use a word in a different way. The corrective mechanisms that we see proteins run along DNA and correct for these mutations to keep the DNA stable and splitting as it's intended to, or as it should physically. That would be
according to who?
So according to our understanding of it. So
what does intended to mean? What do you mean by that?
So charge. You know how electromagnetism works, where
just
positive attracts negative.
Just answer my question.
I need you to understand a baseline fundamentals so that I can.
Don't ask me a question. I need you to answer my question.
Okay.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by correctly or incorrectly? You're saying some kind of like mutation happens, and that's when a recombination doesn't happen correctly.
Yeah. So there may be a particular protein that's okay. I'm trying to let me. Okay. So there's a particular protein. There's a particular protein.
I understand this.
Let me answer, dude.
We're gonna have to do this. Hold on, I'm gonna have to moderate a little bit. KungFuJoe, ask your question again, and then just answer it. Mr. Metra, go ahead.
Yeah, when you say that an error occurred in the recombination of like genes within an offspring or whatever, which is responsible for the mutation, what do you mean by error? What judgment? Just that.
So the norm process, you know how there's a rule, like you were describing to someone else, there's a rule and then there's exceptions.
Can you just answer the question?
Okay, let me answer. I'm trying to, but you keep stepping in. So like you noted in a prior conversation, there is the rule and then there are exceptions. The error would be these exceptions to what we see as a rule. So there are proteins that scan the DNA chain as it's being replicated, due to charge.
Let him describe the error. He's describing you the error.
Due to how charge works and electromagnetism works, there is you can excite a hydrogen bond so that it shifts the polar charge towards the DNA strand, the inner side of the strand of DNA. This causes the protein to misread or misprocess the base pair, or the nucleotide base, and then it attaches the wrong associated pair.
This is like, I don't appreciate this language.
According to the pattern.
Okay, I'll help here.
The
pattern. They're talking about a mutation.
Wait.
Would it help if they didn't use the word error and they used their... Hold on, stop, please. All of you. They're talking about a mutation. They're saying an unexpected, right? Because when you have just a simple baseline
How is it
level,
unexpected?
Because these enzymes...
Wait. How is it unexpected?
It's
expected of evolution. How is it unexpected?
The reason it's not expected is because when we say not expected, we're saying that it is the outlier in the process, which means it's probably not what's normally happening. Because when we look at it, mutations are incredibly rare. Joe, shut the fuck up. Mutations are incredibly rare.
An outlier because it happened for millions of years. How is that an outlier?
We
have to go one by one.
Mutations are incredibly rare. right? They don't happen that frequently, right? What this indicates to us is that's why it's an outlier. If something happens 1 out of like a trillion times, would you say it's an outlier or not?
It happened
If something
frequently
happens
enough.
1 out of a trillion,
Evolution
if
happened.
something
What are you talking about?
over how long, Joe? When you say that something happens frequent enough, it doesn't happen
I
that
don't know.
frequently. It
You
happens on
got
a very
over how long is a
wait,
good
how many?
question. Yeah,
Okay,
how
okay, let me
long?
try. Humans are generally born with 10 fingers and 10 toes. There is a mutation. I forget the name of it. but they can
Polydactyly.
be- yeah, that they can be born with an additional finger or an additional toe, right?
Yeah.
What they're arguing is they're saying that if these people made it and spread that mutation over a long enough period of time, men, women would have the expected rate of 11 fingers or 11 toes instead after a long enough period of time.
Less so than that. It's
That's
more so
just a
the
guess.
idea
That's
of
not
a
science. That's not
no, no.
scientifically proven.
Wait, okay, so 1
No,
second,
no,
Joe.
the idea of a
So,
sixth finger is an error, quote unquote. I mean, it occurred by physics, so no physics went wrong per se. But as we define the rule of humans have 5 fingers, you see one with 6, that's a quote unquote error. Does that make sense? Are we understanding each other?
No, I would
Wait, so
say
Joe,
it
that
was
makes sense.
an
You asked how
environmental
long, right?
outcome.
You asked
What?
the time. So per generation, there's 1 in 9 billion pairs of a mutation. So 1 out of 9 billion pairs will have a 1 mutation. Would we agree that's an outlier per generation?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That's all we're referring to when we say error. That it's the unexpected outcome based on all the other outcomes. So can we move on from this error conversation now?
Do you know why that's a problem for you?
Why?
Have you heard of Haldane's dilemma?
No, explain it for us.
So to put it shortly, is that what Stormtwink just described? If you look at how old that they on your side, on how old they calculate the Earth to be on your side, that there's not enough time for evolution to happen.
Right, you would need to.
Okay, but
explain that much further, but that's fine. We're not going to get.
Yeah,
wait. So we've jumped. Wait. We've jumped a little bit. We've jumped a little bit. That's fine if you want to jump there, but do we acknowledge that we can move past the error conversation? You accept when we say error, we're just referring to the unexpected outcome.
Well,
given
you threw me the
vast amount of
softball,
mutations.
right?
Wait. I'm just asking you the concession here. Do we agree that we can move past the word error here? And
like you're done doing this rigmarole about error and how it's wrong, right?
An exception is not an error in my mind.
So you're done equivocating. You understand the use case that we're working with. Maybe if outlier is a better word for you, we can use that just to not hang you up on it. Does that work?
Sure, outlier.
Good.
Outlier is fine. Yeah.
So a mutation is an outlier in the physics of DNA replication, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that would be paralleled to a word being used in a different way by an individual.
Hold on.
We agree that people do that, right?
Here's what's not good for you is I know that in mutations, they are seldom ever advantageous. They are usually deleterious or benign, right?
Okay.
So
what does it have to do with
you
anything?
would need a ton of advantageous mutations in order to get to where we are right now. So let me ask you.
This is why evolution takes millions, if not more years. Yeah, no shit.
So you believe at one point there was a time where we didn't have a penis, right?
Oh God, you're going down this dialogue tree. Okay, so we're gonna get back to no. We came in with the line of inquiry. We're gonna return to our topic.
This is the pivot. Because remember, you interrupted Metra's explanation with the error thing. I think Metra should finish what he's saying before.
I
was drawing the parallels for our inquiry towards you. We don't need to pivot to your dialogue tree of choice. We can just stick with the intentional line of questioning that we're bringing. We can stick with the idea of the mechanism. We're not trying to convince you of all of evolution in this moment. We're just trying to parallel the mechanism. So that little part of it.
You see what I got to put up with, Wick? This is the type of.
Oh, he's doing that.
You just have to
let Metra keep going.
Wait, can you stop him from doing this? So we're just describing the mechanism, the supposed mechanism of evolution that you find absurd. The idea that some change or some process can occur over and over, and give enough time, point A and point Z look vastly different. Can you stick within those bounds?
I don't agree with that. There's no proof.
You agree with the language thing.
You agreed with language. This is a performative contradiction.
Wait, stop.
Language
is the parallels.
We make. It's not the same as science. Science is provable.
Wait, you agree with the concept, right? You agree with the concept, right?
No, yeah, the concept
You agree with
of
the concept, right?
language changing. Yes, of language
Thank you.
changing.
So then you can
sure.
accept that it is possible, right? So when you just go, well, how can
No,
the small changes lead to big changes? You're doing this thing where you're saying, well, I understand it here, but I don't understand it here.
because if
Like, if
it's
you-
Seemingly, it's the same
science, you
process.
should be able to prove it to me using science, not a
We're
concept
just
of
saying that if you
language.
accept microevolution, it inherently leads to macroevolution. Because if you accept the microevolution of language leading to the macroevolution of language, that same logic should justify macroevolution if you believe in microevolution.
No, because time doesn't change anything.
How did it change
Wait,
language?
Just
Stop. How
you
did it
admitted
change
time.
language?
doesn't change
You admitted
anything.
time changed something in language.
How did-
you
how
literally,
did
that was
language
one of the
change
things I
over time?
outlined
Change that.
explicitly.
Time doesn't
Wait,
change anything.
what did I explain?
No,
Wait, what did I say? Wait,
Let me
pause.
demonstrate it for
Pause.
you.
He's
let me
Okay, so
demonstrate
you're
it for
both
you.
talking over each
Correct.
other.
Hold
Soy
on.
Pill, not Soy
Time-
Pill. I'm sorry, Storm Wolf, and Metro. You're talking over each other, one at a time, please.
Can
Okay,
I?
Time
May
does
I
not
go? May I go
change
quick?
anything. You're correct. The physics of DNA replication changes things. The mechanisms behind
Yeah.
language use change things. So you saying that time changes things isn't something that we
No,
propose.
it doesn't change
He
things.
said across a period of time, not due to a period
No.
of time. So it's
No
unreasonable.
period.
It's illogical for you to go down that route.
Wait.
No,
Wait,
no period of time changes anything.
We
Let me.
just-
Wait, going back to the
Dude,
language
I
example.
just
Going back to the
agreed.
language
Work.
example. Wait, going back to the language example. Remember what I said about the language, how like these differences are heightened over time, correct? Because with time, things seem change because remember, change occurs over time, right? Change is something happening over time, right?
Time
Not
is not
due to.
what changes anything.
That's why
I'm
it's
not
over.
saying it
Time
is
doesn't-
what changes something. I'm saying something is happening and that takes place over a period of time. And that thing gets more and more and more, not because of time, but it's heightened the more it happens. Because when something happens more and more and more, that difference can get more and more and more differentiated.
No.
And that means that, but you
Wait,
need
wait,
time as an underlying
no.
factor. This is
No, I
basic logic. What do
disagree.
you mean no?
I disagree. No,
How?
I
Explain.
agree. Yeah, because I agree. If we all decide as a society to keep English exactly the same, that's what's going to keep it exactly the same. Or
Yeah,
if
but
we
wait,
have
let's say we-
hold
wait,
on, you guys just talked a
Wait,
bunch.
let's say we-
If we as a society agree to change language, which is how language works, right? That's how language changes. The time has no input on whether or not language changes.
Correct.
So
So if
let's
you're
say we-
filling up your wait, stop. If you're filling up your bathtub with water, the amount of fullness changes over time, correct? But time is not filling up your bathtub.
Right.
So why are you pretending that we're talking like time is changing language or time is changing DNA?
That's what that's what
Nope.
no.
That's not what evolution says.
Hold on. I'm going to give it back to you, right? What evolution says is that if enough of these tiny micro changes happen over billions of years,
Yeah.
then that means that at one point flies were not flies.
Wait, let's start with the bathtub example. Let's say you have an empty bathtub and you turn on the handle that's dripping one drop at a time. Well, how that's not gonna happen. Wait, one drop every like 1 minute. How long is it gonna take for your bathtub to fill up completely? Probably a long time, right?
Probably
Probably
years.
a long time, right?
Yeah.
So my point is that small changes happening over time, but like let's say you stop that process at 10 minutes. Are you gonna see much of a difference?
Not really. No.
But what if let's say you stop that
what-
process at 4 months? Let's say that. Would you see much of a difference then?
What does the filling bathtub?
Answer the
I
question.
need
What do
you
you
to
see?
drop.
What do you wait? Just wait. Answer the
It's
question.
going to keep getting fuller. Yes.
Yes.
He's
Now
getting
I'll
the
answer
scale.
again.
Yeah.
My point is that when you say, oh, well, time doesn't change anything, we agree with you. We're saying that these small changes are not going to be super noticeable at first, but given enough time, they're going to further and further and further differentiate things until they're
And-
holistically different. So going back to the language example, because for some reason you said time didn't change language, which we never claimed. You said if everyone agrees to keep language the same, it won't change. But let's say everyone is slowly but surely putting unknown to them, putting their own spin on language, making small changes every now and then, where like they might change how they pronounce things, they might change how things are spelled, slowly but surely. Over time, that'll differentiate until they're holistically different, which you agreed to earlier. We're not saying time is doing it, we're saying time enables it. Because if you cut that process off, you won't see the change. Similarly with evolution, and this is why you struggle with this, we know, is that you're asking us on a smaller time frame to prove evolution, but we're saying
Not
that if you were to
struggling at
expand the
all.
time frame, do you want to let me finish? That if if you look at evolution on the holistic time frame, if you accept microevolution, you can understand that slowly but surely things are going to become more and more distinct until they're holistically unrecognizable. Because what is the limit to adaptation? Do you believe in microevolution? Why is there a limit to that? Why can't, like, how much can something change before it's something completely different?
You need to demonstrate that to me with
Wait,
science.
I'm asking you
You-
because you believe in microevolution.
Storm, let me step in. So you assert as a positive claim that there are limits to how much a kind can change, correct?
yeah.
How do you get to that conclusion?
Due to the impossibility of the contrary.
Could you expand a little bit?
I don't know how I could put it any more simpler than that.
I don't want simpler. I want more. I don't want less. I want more.
Because there is no scientific proof that it does anything other than that.
Well, no, you don't rely on the science for it, right?
I do.
So you're saying positively there is a limit, and you're saying because we haven't observed it that there is a limit, or we haven't observed exceeding a limit, there is no limit, or
yes.
there is one.
Correct, because we haven't observed the thing you're positing.
Isn't that-
Shut up. It's my time now. Because we haven't observed the thing that you're positing that causes macroevolution, therefore I don't need to believe in macroevolution because you haven't given me the scientific proof for macroevolution, sir.
No. I'm not talking about macroevolution. I'm talking about your assertion of limits. So you seem to be arguing you seem to be committing the argument from ignorance fallacy, where you're saying we haven't observed this, therefore it cannot occur. You're saying we haven't observed exceeding a kind, therefore there can never be a change in kind.
I'll ask you the same question as the last guy. How would you falsify evolution?
Wait, no, answer his question. Metro asked you a question. Answer that question. Wait, make him answer that question. Metro asked him a direct question.
What's the question?
What's the yeah, go ahead. Answer the question.
Aren't you leaning on the argument from ignorance fallacy by saying that since we have not observed it, it cannot occur?
No, I'm saying that if you present me scientific evidence that it is the case, then I will believe that it is the case.
So just to be clear, because they have not presented you that evidence, because you have not seen it, it must not be true.
But wait, we're asking a question because he's asserting.
Hold on. Let me fix that. Let me fix that. Because I haven't seen scientific evidence, I have no logical reason to believe it without the scientific evidence.
You should be in a state of like you don't disbelieve it or believe it. It's just neutral to you, correct?
You're agnostic, right?
I'm so far the reason why I'm disbelieving it is because my questions for evolution aren't being satisfied.
What I was asking earlier.
You're just still ignorant. You're still agnostic.
He hasn't answered the question that we asked, which is he's claiming that microevolution can never go into macroevolution, which implies there's some limit. There's a limit to the changes in the small adaptations. That means that it'll always stay the same kind. What is that limit? Why does that limit exist? Where does it come from? Because you are making a positive claim when you make that claim. So you have to justify that now if you're going to make that claim.
Like, is it electromagnetism?
It's not been scientifically observed.
So it's an argument from ignorance.
Yeah, you're saying because we haven't observed it exceeding some kind of limit I have in my head, that means the limit is true. But you don't know that. You haven't seen that. Wait. You have no evidence of that limit existing other than I haven't observed anything exceeding that.
Hold on. Let me go through this because we do have a couple other people and we did it. So I want to maybe short circuit a few things and maybe kind of get to things. Just Joe, okay? So you acknowledge that over time there can be micro changes to humanity. Let's stick with humanity, like a people, right? So there is some evidence that we have observed that since we've been gone from hunters and gatherers to a more agrarian system where we, plant crops and things like that, humans have gotten smaller, right? Overall, right?
They've gotten softer.
Yes, smaller, softer, more prone to certain diseases than we were. Jaw size has shrunk. There's been many changes that we have documented over time that has happened to the human race. I'm guessing if humans shrunk another foot on average, would they still be human to you?
If they shrunk another foot on average, I mean, it would depend. Like, well, if they're still human, yeah, they would still be human.
No, I'm asking you, would they still be human?
They'd still be human,
erase it, over the next 1,000 years, instead of being 6
Yeah.
foot average, we're now 5 foot average. Still human?
Yeah.
What if
Still human.
What if we got that polydactyl gene or whatever, and suddenly instead of 10 fingers, we now have 11 fingers, and that's just expected? Are they still human at that point?
Yep. I guess,
smaller,
but I
11
think the problem here is that they're asserting stuff like this is happening.
But
but
I'm just asking you yes or no questions for now, just to see your limit, right? Okay. So what if over time our skin changed, and instead of like having white, black, etc., we all become this kind of like ashen gray color because of atmospheric changes and things like that? Would we still be human?
Yeah.
What if our diet changed, right? We started, instead of eating, being omnivores, it became, because we've had lab-grown meat and all these things, we no longer can eat actual meat. So we are no longer omnivores. We're now herbivores. Are we still human?
Yeah, well, so the reason why
No,
it just
answer
gets
my
to a
question,
level...
man. Are we still human at that point? So we got 11 fingers, foot smaller than we normally are. Now we can't eat meat. We have ashen gray skin. Are we still human?
It's hard for me to engage with the hypothetical, Wick, because as a Christian, I don't believe that this could ever happen. I believe that since God imbued us... Hold on. I believe that since God imbued us with the image of the image bearer and sent Christ as a human to this world, I don't believe in evolution, because that would necessitate that God could have put the breath of life into a donkey, and Christ on Palm Sunday could have ridden in on a human as a donkey, right? Like, there would be nothing special about the human form or the human condition from an evolutionary perspective. Like, it would be in direct conflict with my faith as a Christian. So hold on. So,
but what's the point of us having
this
this
makes you
conversation? It doesn't seem like, wait, just to be clear. There's
dictates
nothing we could do to convince you, right?
This could never actually happen, so it's impossible for me to engage with it.
So to be clear, it has happened. We've observed it with like microorganisms. We've observed them with like species like E. coli becoming completely different and no longer being classified as E. coli anymore, being classified as holistically different. But you don't accept that, do you?
No, because when God made everything on earth,
wait,
he told
we're not talking about God.
Adam...
Remember, because if we want to talk about God,
I'm telling you why
your issues is with the science of it. Your issues are with the science of it. Wait, Joe, I want to say something, because now you're saying I don't believe because of God. Fine. Wait, no, you're not, because the thing is,
yes, I am.
Before we were approaching some scientific thing, and you're saying we haven't observed it. So now I'm going to ask you a question, because I feel like we kind of got here. If it is the case that we've observed E. coli becoming no longer E. coli,
what is it?
It is a different type of microorganism.
It's a different species,
so it's a
different kind.
So it started out as a microorganism, and it ended up as a microorganism.
Storm. So we are an organism, right? And cats are an organism. So different breeds of cats are still organisms, but you recognize there are different levels to these classifications, right? So you saying that bacteria is still bacteria is like me saying mammals are still mammals. It's nonsense. You're doing a category error.
Well, hold on.
Here's the proper level, which is E. coli.
This is a big problem for you.
E. coli is akin to human. COVID-19 is akin to canine. Varicella is akin to cat feline. You have to stay within the right classification level, the right resolution.
Okay, we do got to wrap this up, gang. So I'm gonna let.
Can we wrap it up with a nice? Wait. Can we wrap it up with a nice disjunctive syllogism for a valid syllogism for Joe? He's a big fan of those.
Go for it,
man.
Perfect. So we will start this off.
Can I contend with any of
no, just let me read a syllogism.
No.
So the syllogism is P1. Microevolution is the change in an individual organism's genetic code and is true. Adaptation. Microevolution is the change in an individual organism's genetic code and is true. P2. Macroevolution is the process of microevolution over a long period of time. P3. Iterative processes are recurring events. It's like an algorithm. P4. If microevolution is iterated over a long period of time, then small changes will accumulate into large changes. Conclusion. Large changes over long periods of time is the process of macroevolution. Therefore, macroevolution is true. It is known as a modus ponens argument, and
I
it is
just got
it is
done
valid.
saying
I'm
that
gonna
time
let
doesn't
you-
change anything.
I'm gonna let you have the last word, Mr. Joe. Alishness for $5 says we never observed your brain, Joe. How can we assume it exists? There's a lot of evidence it doesn't exist. Can you prove it does? And last word for you, Joe. So
Around earlier by a person with a non-brain. Good job.
okay,
All right.
thanks for coming, guys.
I just got done saying that time doesn't change anything, and within his syllogism, he used time as the thing
No,
to
no,
change
I said an iterative
everything.
mechanism.
That-
I said an
that's
iterative
fine. I think
mechanism, an
he knows.
iterative
It's okay.
process
Let me,
is changing.
before you go,
It's
let me
fine, we
ask
know.
you. Before you go, let me ask you guys the same question I asked the last.
Yeah, we
caller
saw
who
the
challenged
dinosaur
me on
image. Do you think
evolution.
elephants can't
No,
mate?
actually,
Wait, how
I
do you think
can-
elephants mate?
Not that. Let me ask you the same question.
Yeah.
How would you falsify the theory of macroevolution?
No, actually, this is perfect. If we
Oh,
were,
God.
however many years ago, when evolution was first being theorized, we would have set up hypotheses, tested them. Subsequent scientists would have set up complementary hypotheses, tested them, rinse and repeat for however many decades or centuries. And at that initial point, it would have been easily falsifiable on its face. You would have had
How
very
would you
clear.
falsify it today?
You would have to set
How
up
would
an
you? Wait,
evolution
no,
that
no, no.
proves.
How would
Hold
you
on, let's
falsify
Storm
How would you falsify God
Storm
today?
Twink.
How would you falsify the
okay,
Bible today?
okay, great.
Don't fucking pivot, you fucking weasel.
We got it. We got to
But
move
it's
on.
established.
Okay, we got to move on. We have
Yeah,
a
Alright.
time limit
fail,
here.
Thanks,
big
Wick.
fail,
unfortunately.
dude.
Like,
I love
Nice
you all.
try,
Enjoy
guys.
enjoy
Nice
the
try,
valid
guys.
conclusion, the
Yeah,
truth.
right. Getting nowhere. Wow.
Okay.
This is the best. See, like I barely started doing this, right? I don't even have a YouTube channel. I've got rudimentary science understanding, philosophy understanding, and this is like the best they can give me. It's wild. I'm still waiting for a real challenge here.
Okay, what do you got for us? Are you a real challenge, quote unquote?
All right, I guess we'll find out, right? So Joe, right? You believe in God, right?
Yeah.
God is all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Awesome. So how can an all-powerful, all-knowing being not account for evolution in their plans?
What? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm asking you.
What do you mean? I don't know what that. Can you explain what that? Can you?
Well, yeah, I
explain
mean,
it
evolution
to
is
me
real
like I'm a
because
fucking retard. How about that?
no, sure. God is all-knowing and all-powerful, right?
Okay.
We are made in the image of God. God
Mhm.
allowed for evolution to be in His plans and uses that tool to improve humanity to a state of grace.
Why would he?
Because
need
we are, after
evolution?
all, fallen in a fallen world. Correct? What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would he need evolution?
Because we are imperfect beings, and He is slowly
What?
perfecting us, readying our
Wait,
souls
but
to
he's
go to heaven.
powerful, right? You just said he's
Yeah.
all powerful. I agreed with you. He is. So
Yes.
if he's all powerful, why would he need evolution? Why couldn't he just poof Adam into existence?
Because we are incapable of knowing God's plans, because we are fallen
What the
beings
fuck?
and
Hold
thus
on.
imperfect beings.
Answer that question. Answer that
I just
question. If God is, hold on. Premise one is
just did.
God is all. Hold on.
Hold on.
Premise
Can
one is
God
God
sin?
is all powerful.
KungFuJoe, can God
What?
sin?
God cannot sin.
So there's something he cannot do?
It's against his nature. It's
Sure, he
like
can't.
the
right?
limits
He
of his
cannot sin.
nature. Can't and won't are two different things.
But he could if he wanted to.
I don't know. I'm not God.
Well,
Well, the answer to that riddle
scriptures.
was yes, Wick. He
I
can.
know what he communicated. What he communicated to us. What he communicated to us is that his very nature is goodness.
Okay, but I'm asking you, could he sin?
Yeah,
He could?
he can't do anything bad. It would be impossible
cease
for
to
him
be
to
God,
do.
so he can't.
Sin is just a move away. He can't move away from himself. Sin is just
So
a
how
movement
if there
away
is
from
something
God.
he cannot do, therefore he is not omnipotent.
What depends on No, like
Omnipotent
he has
is all
to.
powerful. There is nothing you cannot do.
He's all powerful within his nature. Correct.
Within a sphere, but outside of those spheres, he is no longer all powerful.
It's his nature. He cannot not become his nature?
Yeah, that means he's not if you cannot change your nature, I can change my nature, right? I can change my nature. Am I more powerful than God?
No, it would be illogical for God to do that. God's not illogical. He'll remain a certain nature because it is logical to do so.
Keep going, Mr.
But then how can you comprehend the
No.
logic
Yeah.
of God?
What?
God is beyond you. You can't comprehend God's will.
He told us what he wanted to comprehend.
How do you know that's what he said?
I have faith in
Because you
it.
rely on a presupposition.
You do too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yes,
So what?
I agree with you that. But I'm saying that an all-powerful, all-knowing God would account for evolution in his plans. Therefore, evolution must be true.
I don't know why he would. What proof do you have of that?
What proof do I have of what? That God would account for it in his plans? And that an all-knowing, all-powerful being could account for evolution in his plans?
Why would he need evolution? Give me the proof for why he used okay, hold on. So for evolution to have existed in order to create Adam and Eve, right?
Uh-huh.
Death would need to already exist.
Okay.
Yeah, do you see a problem there?
Well, yeah, but the problem is
What's the
that
problem?
once we were cast out of the Garden of Eden, death came to us, since we are no longer perfect in a flawless state of grace with God.
What happened when we sinned against God? When Adam sinned against God and the world became
we were cast out of
fallen,
the
what
garden
happened?
into
What
a
else
fallen
happened?
world, into a fallen state.
What was fallen about the world? What became fallen?
Aging and death?
Introduced? Yeah, death. So
Aging, death,
there was no
sin, yes.
death. There was no death, right? Before the fall. And then after the fall, there was death. But you need death for evolution to create Adam and Eve.
Well, no, I don't, because God created Adam and Eve.
What? No. So now God just poofed Adam and Eve into existence without evolution. Thank you.
No, I didn't say that at all.
Hold on.
Really?
We know
Okay,
from the
so
scriptures.
Genesis 1:26.
Hold on. We know from. Hold on.
Genesis
Just real quick, please. We know from the
No,
scriptures
Genesis.
that evolution happened.
Yeah.
Eve evolved from the rib of Adam. It was in one state, and it was evolved into another state. Therefore, evolution exists.
Created.
Checkmate.
No, created.
Atheists.
Created.
Checkmate.
Oh my God.
No, you mean checkmate theists, right?
Hold on. If God can just poof people into existence, why did he use the rib of Adam?
Well, because it has to be made a part of. He wanted it to be a part of Adam so that it could be compatible with Adam.
God could just make it compatible without using the rib, because he's all powerful, omnipotent.
It's like if I make a game engine, right? And I'm like, hey, this game engine is badass. It does.
Why does he have to use that process, though? Why does God have to use that process? The same process I would use, right? And there's a good reason I would use that process. But he's God. He doesn't have to use the process. Why would he do?
And he did. Then he did.
Okay, so the question would be, why could he not have used evolution to create Adam?
Because for the reason I just laid out. It goes against Genesis, basically. It goes against the.
What would be contradicted if Adam came to fruition via evolution? If we would talk about the time scale, a day in the eyes of God is like 1,000 years to us, or that's kind of like the comparison that's used, right? Well, so yes, his days don't have to be literal days. They might have been, again, on a large enough time scale that he's just talking about epics, like.
No, yeah. The original Hebrew word yom actually means epic or age. So like it could be anywhere from like 1 day, from 24 hours to 10,000, 30,000 years.
However many, right? I don't know the exact.
So,
number,
but hold on. What if there was no death before the fall? How can you have evolution and selection pressures and natural selection?
because
all this, yeah.
Because once we enter the fallen world, we are no longer in a state of grace with God. Therefore, we are mutable and changing ever so.
Come on. That doesn't answer my question. If you
It
needed evolution, no, dude, listen. If you needed evolution for Adam to become man, but evolution necessitates death. It necessitates death, survival, mating selection, all this type of stuff. Death did not exist prior to the fall. So if death didn't exist prior to the fall,
oh my God, yeah, but before the fall, we didn't
just
need
real
to
quick,
do any of
just
that.
real quick,
We
just
went
real
to the
quick.
paradise.
Death didn't exist in Eden. There is no reason to believe, and it's not scriptural, that Eden covered the entire earth.
Yeah, but that's where Adam and Eve were made, and that's where they stayed.
Yeah, and they were cast out of Eden.
That's where they were placed.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Once they become
created.
cast out of Eden, they become subject to the fallen world.
If you look in Genesis, they're created in Eden. Yes.
Hold on.
There's nothing in Genesis that supports evolution.
Did those fruits die?
Hang on. Well, 1 second, please. I'm not disputing that that Adam and Eve weren't created. I'm saying that once they were created, they became subject to the natural laws of the world, and as such, evolution becomes true for them. Thus we've evolved as human beings down the line.
Last question, Just Ice, because then I do want to get to as many people as I can. So last question.
No, because there was no death in the world. The fallen world, right? That's what it says. The world, the entire world, not just Eden, the world became fallen. There was no death in the
doesn't
world.
Exist in Eden, Joe. Your scripture's wrong.
It says the world became fallen.
Okay.
The world.
Yes.
We
exist in the fallen world. The became subject to the laws of evolution.
After the fall, prior to the fall, there was no death. So evolution can't be happening in a world with no death.
Okay. Thank you, Justice, for calling in.
Nice try, retard.
No, Joe, you don't understand your own theology. You really don't.
Yeah, nice try, dude. No, yeah, you're gonna tell me you're the Pope or you're the fucking priest at my church. Sure, I don't understand. You're the fucking head of the Orthodox.
Okay, next caller.
Wow.
Marlo, what do you got for us today?
Oh, hello, stranger. How are you?
Pretty good. Good to see ya.
Oh, my dog has that same bandana around his neck. Nice choice.
Mine does too. So, I wanted to come in because I'm still really unsatisfied with the kind of like transcendentalist argument that you gave for the existence of the divine when we last talked. And like I'm really struggling to I just don't feel satisfied. Like essentially the premises were that that I got from your side were that like knowledge and logic and these kinds of transcendental concepts, they exist, and the premise being that if those things exist, that they prove the existence of God because of a further premise that God is the necessary condition for the existence of those things. I think that if pressed, you will not be able to demonstrate that it is the case that God is the necessary condition for the existence of knowledge and logic.
Proof is a very strong word. I don't use that word proof. The word I use is evident. No, you said it. Well, I was listening carefully. You said like it doesn't like that it aims to prove that God exists, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do that. What it is it's evidence for God existing. There's no such thing as like hardcore like proof as in what we use, when we use proof colloquially in like forensics, let's say. Like there's no forensics for God existing, but there is logical proof for the existence of God.
Right, and so the proof that I find out was the one that you gave me, right?
Yeah.
And my problem with the proof that you're using the last time we were on stream together was that
you're um, offering premises that are foundationally lacking in that they are themselves an argument within their own argument. So it is like I'm saying that your argument is very circular. And so
Mm.
like when we say that
Mhm.
if God is the necessary condition for knowledge, and knowledge exists, then God exists. That if is the part that I wanted to talk to you about because we kept getting distracted by is America a Christian nation or should America be a Christian nation?
Don't
And
blame
like
me.
so we didn't get to I know, but like so we didn't get to really lock in on that if part, and the if part is what I really think that I think
Okay.
it's been fucking bugging me, man. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Let me go ahead and lay out the argument in its completeness for you, and then we'll walk through it. How about that? So premise one would be the laws of logic exist independently of any and all human finite and contingent minds. Would you agree?
Sorry, I got annoyed that you were reading off an LLM. Can you reread it for me?
No, it's from my note. I have notes. I have my own notes that I took down.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So premise one is that the laws of logic exist independently of any and all human minds. Okay, so far so good. Premise two, the laws of logic are conceptual truths that can only be grounded or perceived by or accounted for by a mind.
There were three verbs. And what were the other ones?
So it's just kind of using these words like interchangeably. I guess you could use whichever one you want, but it's
So
like
you don't feel like they have distinction? For like the distinction among them is not relevant for your argument.
not terribly. So it's like be grounded in, if you want to use ground. Some people don't like grounded. Perceived by, some people have no problem with perceived by. Usually that's pretty universally accepted. Or accounted for, whichever one of those you want to use is fine.
All right, keep going.
Okay, so far so good on premise two. Premise three, no finite or contingent mind can ground universal, invariant, material laws of logic. Because finite minds are changing, particular, contingent, and non-universal.
Okay, so it couldn't be grounded in like a human mind because it is spanning across like all time, pretty obviously, etc., etc.
Correct.
Got it.
So far, so good? Okay, so the conclusion would be, therefore, the laws of logic require or presuppose, right, the existence of a universal, uncreated, transcendent mind.
Okay, I think I see where I break from this like proof. My struggle is that is in that second point where
So
you're saying
premise two?
that in that second premise where you're saying that these transcendentals can only be recognized, can only be appraised, can only be
Perceived.
known, perceived, right? All of those kinds of verbs. They can only be recognized by minds, but I think they can be interacted with by anything that does not have a mind. I don't think that you have to have a mind in order to interact with these things. And so I think that they can be grounded in mindless things because there are other ways to ground these transcendentals other than acknowledging, understanding, and perceiving them.
Can I test that?
Sure.
Could something with no mind create a language?
No.
Okay.
And like, I mean, I guess
So
if you
in
wanted
what
to, like, do you consider, let me actually just push on that to make sure that we agree on all of those words. Like, would you say that like mRNA has a mind? Like it's a teeny tiny protein structure and it has like an operative will in a certain sense and it makes changes in the universe and it understands certain types of information, like it can almost read. Like, would you call that a mind? Or like, when we say mind, what do we mean?
I would mean the human mind. What we consider the mind is only something that us humans have.
So like would you say that like for you the word mind is a little bit interchangeable with soul?
It could be, yeah. Soul, the mind, the self, the soul, sure.
Okay. And so you're saying that you asked me if something without a mind could have a language. And I like if you want to make a stretch, I would say that there are like cells and like I think DNA is almost like a language. I think that there are ways you could say like, oh sure, you know, like this structure has a language, but broadly I think I agree with like the core of your
Well,
premise there.
yeah, okay. Yeah, like could
Wait, hold
something
on.
without a mind make a
Am
language
I
that
mistaken?
communicates with
Hold on,
humans?
just real quick. Am I mistaken? And I could be. I'm not an expert at this, but don't whales, dolphins, other animals other than humans, they have rudimentary languages, right? Am I incorrect?
They do, and they have like regional dialects, but I think I am taking what Kung Fu Joe means to mean like complex grammar and like sentence structure and syntax and definition.
Okay.
Like
Philosophy,
I'm taking,
yeah.
like I'm assuming what he means. But I agree
Fair.
that that's
I
an
was
important
just like, they
distinction.
obviously communicate. They obviously have a language. They obviously are able to interact and work with one another, or compete with one another, warn each other of things. Like they can communicate. So.
Degrees of consciousness, I would say.
So, but I do grant you that like a mind, and some like amount of neuron density and you know of whatever is a prerequisite condition to understand language. But I think you were going somewhere else with that.
Well, no, you were asking me if I consider a mind to be like the same as the soul, and I was saying, yeah, I do.
Okay, so sorry, I'm going a little back before that. I'll go back to my
Okay.
my issue with premise two. My issue is that
Okay.
recognition of transcendentals, things like truth, is
Mhm.
not a prerequisite for interacting with them. So in the same way that like would you feel like gravity is a good analogy for a transcendental where it's like something that is all encompassing, all effective and grounded in something that we don't understand and can't prove, but it like would that be like something that you would feel is a good analogous like thing for truth itself?
No, not exactly, because truth is like a metaphysical concept in that can only be perceived in a mind.
Okay. Um but do you agree that like it's possible for things to encounter and interact with the truth insofar as truth is descriptive of reality, proscriptive of reality, right? The truth determines reality in many ways. And so, like,
Hmm.
things without minds still are bound by that transcendental. And so, to me, it's clear that knowing and recognizing it and seeing it in the ways that we see it isn't a necessary prerequisite for its existence. Like if we didn't exist,
So
I think there still would be truth, right?
I see what you're so what you're kind of alluding to is like if a tree falls in the woods, that's still true whether or not somebody was there to see it, right?
In a sense.
Okay, right. But what I'm saying is that when we do see the tree fall in the woods, we put together an account and we create a language to describe what happened there, what we observed, right? So I
Hmm.
agree with you on that front. What I'm telling you is what's going on in here when we watch the tree fall in the woods. That's what I am saying is what we call truth or an observant of brute facts, right? Like we need to have faith in something. We all do, right? Like what's we an axiom or faith, we all start from the same starting line there. And but where I go further is what accounts for this universal concept called truth that exists in all human minds, right? That's what comes into question, because every time I question like the naturalist point of view, we run into moral problems to which the naturalist has to make special pleading for humans, right? So, like, in a naturalist sense, why would it be wrong for one group of chimpanzees to get together and journey over to another territory of chimpanzees, tear them apart, take their, women and children as slaves or whatever, and then just be dominant in nature? Like, there's no moral wrong happening. That's just nature being played out, right? But now humans do that, and suddenly there's like some kind of moral problem there. And
Is
I'm
your
like, well,
point, I
wait a
want to just make
minute.
sure I'm following you, but and then I just to make
Hmm.
sure, is your point here that because there is an understanding of the moral problem on our part for our species, that is what moralizes our actions?
I'm saying that at best, you could look at morality as either a benign or deleterious mutation within the human mind that doesn't actually benefit us in survival.
It certainly does, but that's beside the point.
Mm.
I'm a little and like that's another debate, brother.
Ooh, well.
But I do think I want to know how this is coming back to those three premises you gave me earlier.
Yeah, because we have to account for why we even need some kind of moral truth in the first place, right? Because if you're going to make a special pleading that, oh, well, it's fine with when all the other animals do it, but it's not okay when we do it. You need to give me an argument for that. And if it doesn't come from God, I don't see how you could make it stick.
Well, I thought we were talking about human beings being like obviously the only creatures with minds, right?
Yeah, but why is that, right? The reason why I believe that is because we were given stewardship over the earth and the rest of the beasts and whatnot,
Right, and
right?
I know
And
that's what
that's
you
why
believe.
yeah. So
I
how do you explain for that?
that I think that understanding and cognition is the like the plane across which moral calculus is done, right? So like um
Hmm.
like I think that we are special because we have the so like the neuron density and we have the like amygdala and we have like smaller amygdala and like large hippocampus and the different regions
Hmm.
of the brain being developed in the ways that they're developed, um special to our species. But like I'm still not my frustration with, to go back to the original premise, the if God is the prerequisite condition, if an infinite mind, let's use those more specific terms, is the prerequisite condition for things like truth, and truth exists, then God exists. I'm not seeing the connection between the necessity that an infinite mind is the grounding mechanism for things like truth and logic. I'm still not convinced
Yeah.
of that.
Well, because you followed the premises to the conclusion, I want you to give me an argument for why the conclusion doesn't follow.
You want me to give you an argument
Hmm.
for why the
Hmm.
you realize that this is your premise that you have to defend, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you. So what I need to defend against is for you to give me a better account than
Oh,
a
that's
yeah.
not how claims work. Sorry, I don't know if you know how
Well, that's
logic
how
works.
this.
No, sorry,
Hold on, I
brother.
do.
So when I say my handkerchief is red, right? And I know it's red because I see it and it's red. But like
Mhm.
you're not colorblind and I am colorblind, right? And you're looking at me and you're like, that's a fucking green goddamn handkerchief or some shit. Like that like there is not going to be a way for me to hear an argument from you about that because that's a perspective issue. But it's still not your responsibility to explain to me what red and green are. I have to defend my claim in that situation, right?
Yeah, but you're claiming it can't be the conclusion I have, right?
No, I'm saying that your premise doesn't lead to that conclusion
Why not?
because you're circularly arguing. You were
Where's the
saying you're
circle?
starting at one point. You're saying God is necessary for truth. And then you're saying
No, that's
if
not the argument I gave you.
right, but like the argument that you gave me leads me to that
Mhm.
premise, right? So that like
Well, but
it's supposed to.
you have to contend with the syllogism.
There's no syllogism in the premise
I
that I'm
gave it to you.
addressing here.
So which premise are you addressing?
The claim that I'm addressing like the transcendentalist argument for God in and of itself. And like while I'm
Which premise?
recognizing so there's the first premise of transcendentalist argument for God, which is
The
if
laws of logic exist independently of any and all human minds. That's premise one.
so you want me to only engage with those three? Is that I can do? Do
That's
you want to
the
do it that
argument
way?
I'm giving.
I'm
I'm
saying
giving
that
you
like
this is the
that's your
argument.
backing. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
You agreed with each one of the premises. You just don't agree with the conclusion. I
No, I
need you to
disagreed
give me
with
an
the core of
argument
your
for
second
why.
premise.
Okay, so you agree with premise 2, the laws of logic are conceptual truths that can only be grounded in / perceived by / accounted for by a mind.
No,
You
I
disagree
don't
with
agree
that
with
premise.
that. Yeah, that's where we disagree. I think that the likelihood that um well, let me put it this way. I agree with people like Storm, Twink, and Metra that it's really obvious that there were iterations of hominids walking around the earth with very little language and no gods for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? And even before they had the kind of cognition that hominids really had upright, the truth was there and logic was there. And the things that make
Where
mathematics function were there.
where was it?
I think that they are natural laws of our universe.
Where do they exist?
They exist independently of minds.
Where?
Yeah, where's your
Can you
God?
step
That's
in
the same
a
question.
effect? Hold on, no, don't pivot. Where is the truth? Where is the facts? Where's the
They are
justified true
metaphysical.
belief? They're metaphysical, so where do they exist if they're metaphysical?
Not here. Like, what do you mean? I don't think I understand where you're getting at.
Just where okay, I'm saying they only exist in the mind. You're saying no, that's not true. They exist somewhere other than the mind.
Oh, no,
Where
that's not what
do
I'm
they?
saying. What I'm
What
saying
are you
is
saying?
you haven't convinced me that they exist in the mind, and I'm still agnostic as to where they exist.
So you're using these concepts right now to speak to me, and you don't accept that they exist in your mind?
I accept that I can recognize and understand them, but I don't think that my engagement with them makes them exist any more than they make me exist.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Maybe, do you think that if you believe in evolution, right? Wouldn't debating it be a contradiction?
I think that you're trying to bait me and be weird by
No,
asking
I'm
a
not being
question that's
weird.
silly.
For you to challenge me on, let's say this, which is the tag argument, wouldn't that be a contradiction from your worldview?
In what way do you suppose that?
Oh, well, because I evolved to believe in God.
No, you devolved to believe in God, dude.
Sure. Yeah, let's say that I devolved to believe in God. What would be the point of debating me?
I mean, like, I think what you're trying to say is like, I sound like a determinist, and that like if you were just like determined to believe in God because of the random bouncing of the star stuff in your soul, brother, then like why should I try to save you? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking you, no, I'll repeat it again. I'll try to go slower. If I am just a product of evolution, my belief in God is just a product of evolution, why would you debate me on it? That would be a performative contradiction on your part.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit performative. Like, I mean it's Wick fucking stream.
And it's a
Why are you
contradiction,
here?
right?
Hold
I don't
on.
think
It's
it's
a
a
contradiction.
contradiction. I think it's
It
like
It is.
The reason that we're doing this is because I set up the panel and I asked people
Right.
to come on.
And if you believe in evolution, there's no reason for us to do this, Wick.
Why does
well,
evolution preclude
I'll tell you
free
why I
choice?
think I should.
For the reason I just laid out.
I mean,
You
it
didn't-
wasn't a reason that you laid out. I love you so much.
No, it
Claire,
was.
but
If I was,
you're
my
confusing evolution with
biology.
determinism. You're confusing evolution with determinism. Let me just tell you
What?
why I think that it's important for me to come here and like challenge your beliefs. Because your beliefs damage my society and I don't want you to be in my fucking country anymore.
Your beliefs damage my society, and I would like the same. How am I
Exactly.
wrong?
I think,
Right.
you know what? Let's have a a federalist system. Let's go back to that. I would be down for that.
Oh, and repeal the 19th?
I said, yeah,
You down
in
for
your
that
state,
too?
you do that. And then in my state, I'll do whatever
Oh,
we think
so
is
you
cool.
don't want it to
And
be
then,
a country anymore. You want the country to split apart.
yeah, I want 50 states.
Got it. No, wait, no. Yeah, you want states to be broken off from the United States.
I don't want the United States to exist anymore. It sucks pretty bad right now. I'm over it.
You know what? On that, sister, we can agree. I think
Okay.
it's time to bring back monarchy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks
in
for
your
coming,
state.
Marlo.
In your state. Bye, guys. Have a
Okay,
good
we're
night.
gonna have one
Thanks.
more, and then we're gonna end this. Okay, because gang, if you enjoy the show, you gotta spend money. So the more money you give me, the longer
Yeah,
this will
guys.
go on. So just
Listen,
FYI.
guys,
But for now,
don't be
we got
afraid to drop a super chat.
one more,
Okay?
one last.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
don't be afraid with your money, you guys. You guys are so vocal all the time in Wix server, right? Why don't you go ahead and donate to the guy and ask me a question and I'll engage with it. The reason why you don't do that is because you know I'll fucking mop the floor with you and it'll be an easy 10-second response and it'll be a waste. You know, that's what you think. That's what you're showing me, that it would be a waste of your money to even ask me a question because you'll get fucking mopped.
Hi.
But go ahead, spend your money, give Wix some money, and prove me wrong.
Shalom. L'chaim, my brothers.
Oy vey!
Can I go, or what's going on?
Yeah, go
I was saying
ahead. What do you
hi,
got?
dude.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get away from like all the philosophy bullshit that nobody cares about. Joe, I watched your Iran debate a few weeks ago with the one with Ryan Malali, and I liked your position on it. Well, first of all, do you consider yourself a conservative?
I'm kind of having trouble with that term.
Well, do you
Because
consider
it's
yourself
become
a Trump supporter? I guess is the more poignant
no,
question.
not at this point. No,
Okay. Did you vote for him?
I did.
Okay. Did you vote for him on the premise that he was going to be an isolationist president and wasn't going to be bombing countries for no reason?
Correct. Yeah, that was
Okay.
That was one thing he criticized the Democrats about all the time, which means that he separated himself in that way to them. So I was like, and some conservatives try to defend him by saying, "Oh, he never said no new wars, or he never said this or that." And I'm like, dude, I know what he said, okay? But yeah, I yes.
Right.
to
So
your
it would be
point.
fair to say that you think you feel he has betrayed the reason
Yeah.
that you voted for him in the first place.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
hypothetically, let's say God Emperor Trump runs for a third term. Would you vote for him at this point?
I'd probably just abstain because I feel like at this point, I feel like in this Zog nation that we live in, that the voting's just become somewhat of an illusion.
Yeah. So how about just the Republican Party in general? Would you vote for any Republicans again? Because the Republican Party broadly endorses Trump's.
Yeah, again,
the
I
bombing
think
campaign, right?
they're both. It would depend on who the runner is because I believe both parties are kind of compromised. But if someone kind of ran, I mean, I would be sad to see another repetition of the Trump pathway if, like, let's say someone like Thomas Massey got elected and he was as based as he said he was on the campaign trail and then did an about face once he got into
Yeah,
office
that's a long.
again.
I mean, Massey getting in is kind of a long shot, right?
Yeah, I would start to lose faith in the system altogether if that kept happening over and over again.
Okay. Could I
Yeah.
possibly submit that the Democrats are less zogged than the Republicans at this point? Would you agree with that?
No, not really.
Do you think
I feel like
do you think Kamala Harris would have done what Trump did and just bomb Iran and go into these attacks and do all this dumb
no,
shit that
so
he's
I
doing?
feel like I feel like if you own both sides of the field and you got both pieces, both side, you've got the black and the white chess pieces to play with, you could kind of pick the one that fits your agenda best. So I don't think Kamala, if she was selected to do what Trump did, I don't think she would have gotten away with it. I think there would have been like a lot of blood in the streets and stuff.
Right.
But because Trump was like so favorable and everyone was so like, he had like a cult of personality behind him. MAGA has become kind of like this deranged like fan club of Trump rather than a representation of what I would call true like conservatism. If you want to harken back to some OG definition of what conservatism is, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm
Well,
at.
I mean,
with
and
that.
to me, it's not even about if you're an isolationist, if you're
Yeah,
against no new wars, if you're against new foreign conflicts, seems to me
yeah.
the take to have at this point could be to vote for a Democrat instead of a Republican, because at least their policy
The-
wouldn't be as brazenly crazy as the ones we have right now. Correct?
Well, so one of the problems I have with Trump is he's such a liberal. He's, was a Democrat for a lot of my life that I was alive while he was around. He hung out with that crowd and he still operates that way. I still see Trump as a liberal, even though he ran and won on the conservative ticket. He doesn't push very hard on like gay stuff. He hires women into his cabinet. So he's very like liberal to me. I would want someone more conservative, and that would never be a Democrat.
Well, also, I know a big issue for you is patriarchy. Paula White is Trump's faith advisor, who is a woman and also a
Yeah, I know.
Protestant. And
Yep.
seems like I find that hard to synthesize with your Orthodox worldview. Correct?
No, it's against it. Yeah, that's what I mean. He hires women into his cabinet, and one of the biggest problems I have is his appointing a spiritual advisor, whatever the fuck that is, right? As a woman. Like that's one of my big issues with
But
him.
on the
Yeah.
same token, Joe Biden, a devoted Catholic, maybe not people
Yeah.
may be controversial about that, had priests
Yeah.
in his
Mm,
faith advisory committee. He reinstituted
yeah.
the whole department to give religious organizations more power to distribute social services and have more power in their communities. So, from your point of view, it just seems to me that it's to be more Democrat at this point would make more sense, just because they
Mm,
more brazenly are.
no, but the problem I have with that is that when you're a Democrat in power and you need to replace like a judge on the Supreme Court or something, right? That's when your bias is going to play in, and I'd rather that bias be a more conservative bias.
Okay, what kind of biases?
Just okay, so like with a more conservative Supreme Court, we overturned Roe v. Wade back to the states. That's
Well,
that would
right. So,
be
well, it's a neutral issue now. It's for the states. It's just not a federal issue anymore, right? So,
that's
I don't
good
know if
for
that.
me. That's yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah.
about I mean, do you think more families are an important uh political issue right now, that we should have more families?
I think it's a bigger social issue than a political issue, but I do believe that politics can be used to steer certain social issues in a direction.
Right. So, like the child tax credit, would you be for something like that? Which helps people who are struggling and gives them more incentive to actually have a kid, have a family.
I'm against like I don't like I mean I'm against like government overreach in those areas. I don't believe that like giving, I believe in giving you more opportunities to keep your own money is better for overall wealth than finding new ways to, tax people more. I think taxing more is like
Right.
not
Well,
the
this is a
solution right
tax
now.
credit, so it helps people who have having kids with
Y-
right.
Yeah, I think what would help people more is if they got to keep more of their own money that they earn.
Um.
Because
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
afraid of mismanagement. I don't like that we get taxed and then these institutions could use my taxes for things I don't approve of, right?
Right. So like,
I would rather
like
keep my own money.
okay, but that's kind of
Yeah.
different from what I'm like during COVID. Like Biden gave like I think it was $3,000 child tax credit. He upped it for specifically for people who had kids and who were going to be struggling during COVID in order to make it better for them to kind of deal with all that shit, right? Which seems like a good thing if you're pro family.
Well, I didn't like the lockdowns, and I think that was the main reason why you needed to give a child
Well, yeah,
tax
well,
credit is because you lock down the economy, and naturally
sure.
you're going to put people into a bind. Maybe you shouldn't do that, so that you don't need to allocate that kind of money,
Okay.
right? Like, I believe we could have just gone a different direction there.
You're skeptical on tax credit, guys. So and you're a Christian nationalist, yes?
Christian populist. Some people want to say nationalist. That's fine.
Okay. Are you a nationalist? You
Yeah.
are? Okay. Well, what are the core principles of Christian nationalism that you think need to be changed in America?
It's just spreading the kind of like through things that I'm doing right now, things that other, Christian nationalists are doing is just like spreading their beliefs, their positions, arguing them with people who
So
go
there's no
against
political
it, and
agenda.
then
It's not really a political
there's a
movement, it's more of
political, yeah, no,
a cultural movement.
it's a cultural movement that would necessarily lead to political changes, right?
What would
Because
the political
when
changes
people,
be?
they would start appointing, um, they would start to favor politicians who are more in line with their Christian belief system.
Okay, what does that look like in terms of actual like reality in politics, like day-to-day shit?
Just kind of like the way we do it now, where we just vote on people based on the policies they run on.
So there's no actual prescription of policy. It's just that you want it to have kind of a Christian overtone.
Well, yeah, I mean that could come downstream from getting more Christian politicians like into government. Yeah, then they could, vote for bills that would pass laws or bring laws to a vote, and then you would
But what are
enact
the
new
what are the
laws. Like,
laws? That's the thing. Is
like
if you're
let's say if we were to outlaw abortion federally.
okay, so abortion.
Yeah,
Okay.
like for
What else?
instance, yeah. I mean, we could start there.
Okay. So that's
I would make porn illegal.
okay. What about online
Yeah.
betting? Seems like a degenerate
Probably, yeah.
activity. Okay.
Yeah, I would
But
probably get rid of online betting too.
that's another thing that's been super like pumped up under Trump too, right?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, Wick's yawning at me, so
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks
no,
for,
it's all good.
Thanks for coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Kung
See
Fu
ya.
Joe, thank you for doing
Yep.
this. I do appreciate you. Where can
course,
people
Wick.
find you?
So you could find me, I play around, I play games on Twitch, at KungFuJoe, but you could also see me and Alish, who called in earlier. We're both in the Word War debate competition, debate tournament. That'll be coming up soon, and you'll be seeing more of me there. So you could follow Word War Debate on Twitter and on YouTube.
Check them out, gang. Have a great night, man. See ya.
Okay, you too, Wick. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, gang. Oof, long night. It's a late night. Look, I lose a little energy after 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm old. How it works. What do we got coming up? Okay, so first of all, hope you enjoyed that content. Hope you had fun. Okay, hope you liked it. If you didn't, we got different types of content coming up throughout the week. I'm going to tell you about those. Okay, on Tuesday, tomorrow, at 6 p.m. Eastern, normal time, I'm going to be debating with Doobie on anti-Semitism. We read that article last week. Yes, all Jews. Doobie doesn't think it's anti-Semitic. And we're going to have a little debate on that tomorrow. We'll have a discussion. We'll have a little talk. It should be fun. So tune in then, 6 p.m. Eastern. On Thursday, we are going to have a great show. We're going to have Dan. We're going to have Mr. Mooten. We're going to have Soy Pill. We're going to have Destiny. And we're trying to get, I don't know if we're going to get them, but we're trying to get Pisco too. Okay, for this one. We're going to talk about Hassan. Okay. And the left in general, right? Is there value in talking about Hassan at all? Why should we even bring him up? Is this even a discussion we should be having? Why are we having this discussion and not talking about other issues? Is it important? And why? And we're also going to be talking about whether or not we'd vote for Hassan or Fetterman in 2028. Okay, that's if we can get Pisco there. I hope we can. But tune in for that. Should be a good show. That'll be Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I hope you guys come. It'll be fun. I hope we can bully Pisco into it. I think it'd be a good discussion. Okay. I think it'd be a good discussion. Friday, I'm going on a fundraiser stream of some sort at some point, and we'll probably do call-ins as well. So tune in. Hope you enjoyed it. Check me out. Peace.